Hello and welcome to the regular Friday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID, Tottenham Till I Die. Tonight's topics will be, obviously, we'll talk about how we actually won a game of football. There'll be talk about the transfer windows, and we will preview Spurs versus Leicester on Sunday. And I'm fortunate enough to be going to that game, and I'm looking forward to it. So without further ado, I'll ask a regular guest and friend of the show here. Drew, how are you, mate?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Adrian. Like you said, it's lovely that we actually won a football match last night. I sat and watched the replay last night and then again this morning. It wasn't the prettiest, but at this time of the season, we just have to get over the line, don't we? We just have to get it done. So, yeah, we move on.
Yeah. I'll just get the banners up.
So I'm wearing the appropriate colours because if you go on most of the Spurs chats and channels at the moment, it seems to be more of a safety meeting than anything else. So I thought I would don the safety orange for our safety meeting.
We have safety yellow in the UK mainly.
Exactly. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So this was post-match Hoffenheim versus Spurs, right? We went into the game. I'll make sure no guests have turned up yet. Injury woes.
Big up Peter in the chat.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll come to you once we've done the list here. Injury woes going into this game. Vicario, Foster, Oliver, VDV, Romero, because he's getting there, but Udogi, Werner, Slinky, Johnson, Sarr, and Basuma. And we had four ineligible players as well. They were Reguilon, Yang Min Hook, Spence, and Kinksky. Hello, here we go. Good evening, Alan.
Hey, guys.
Right, how you doing? We've just started, actually. We're just about to go for the run through, but as Alan's got his own group, what we normally do is, for those you watching now and those watching us on playback, you can find Alan here on his YouTube channel, yeah?
Team Tottenham go. America.
I'll post that at the end of the channel. And while you're here, while you're watching, and for those watching on playback, if you look at the live ticker ribbon below, please subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, leave a comment, and then there's a link here as well to our Facebook group because we've got over 14,000 members on Facebook. And there's another link after that. There's a link to XCOM, formerly Twitter, where you find my name. I'll probably get my name changed to Spurs Diehards on that, actually. So you can find us there as well. So we just like to get some of that support over here as subscribers. Right, let's get back to the banners. So I just started by saying that these were our injury woes going in 11. And we had four ineligible players in Spence, Reguilon, Yang Min Hook, and Kinksky. So actually we had 15 out. I mean, you couldn't make this up, could you, really? 15 out. So, okay, into the game. We started brightly. When we come out and we start brightly, you get the sense like we're going to be okay. We're going to do well. Like it's sort of a game that we're not going to lose. And then this happened, Alan, on the 3rd minute. 0-1. Porro to Madison. It was a nice through ball. He took one touch before firing home.
It was a beautiful touch.
Yeah. He took it away from the goalkeeper to open up the goal mouth, I think. Unless that was just a touch he could get on it, and it was a bit lucky the way it come off. But I mean, like, you can look at it two ways. Yeah.
It was beautiful. The pass from Porro, I mean, set it all up. Without the pass from Porro, it doesn't happen. And, that's the thing about Porro. Porro, damn it. Like, he plays sometimes in ways that it's like I just can't stand the guy, because I feel like everyone gets joy down his side, down the right side, but for every time I feel like, okay, I'm sort of got my head straight on how I feel about Porro, he does stuff like that. and then boom, these amazing passes, it crosses or whatever, and then boom, there it is, beautiful goal. Where you say, if I didn't have Porro, I don't know anyone that couldn't replace him and bring in those kinds of passes. We don't have players like that. We're very thin on players that are playmakers like that.
Yeah. Hi, Nick. What's your take on a goal, Drew?
Just echo sort of what Alan said. I mean, it's a great ball through. Porro does have that ability to put a ball, exactly where he wants it, and to just as I say, I echo what Alan says. We don't have too many people that can really pick a defense apart, like a defense splitting pass. And the run, the run was great as well. I think the touch may be a tiny little bit fortunate, but I don't want to take anything away from Maddison because he is obviously a very competent football player. But yeah, it's, the one thing I will say about Porro, especially in the defensive side of things, he is still a right wing back doing right back things, and I know he's had some good games there. He has so much work to do, and I'm sure we'll probably touch on it with the goals that we concede. He has so much work to do with the ball going over the top of him, and just the right side of that defense, or just even the left side of that defense in general. We are so narrow as a back four when we defend at times, that it's so easy to get on the edge or the inside of either side of the box. So I just think that's kind of a bit more of a, I don't know. It's been a problem consistently, just like the set pieces were a bit of a problem consistency last season. So the only thing I can hope is that when we have our back four back together, get the band back together, and they're consistently playing together, we'll be able to work out those inconsistencies. Because a solid team that plays together consistently that has issues, you would like to think are clever enough to iron out those inconsistencies. I just don't think this team, because of how ravaged we are with injuries, has had the ability. And they're only training at 70%. They're not giving everything in training because they're not able to, because they're having to have rest days.
They're not even training. They're not training.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't.
Exactly.
It's just like they give a rest day after a game, and it's like every 3 days. They can only go in and do light work because they're scared of like picking up injuries in training. I mean, like even Fuma didn't he? And Saar picked up knocks in training, and they wouldn't have been flying. You know what I mean? So
no, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Got to wrap them in cotton wool.
Yeah, Maddison is I remember Churchill describing Russia as an enigma wrapped in a puzzle, right? And like he is like that. When he's good, he's so good. I mean, when he brings that ball down in the air, I tell a player around me that could sort of take a ball at any angle, any height, whatever. Ginola used to do that, bring the ball down out there on the touchline around the sides. I can't think of another player who could do. Hoddle probably could do everything, but I mean, like none of the other wingers were like that. He just had that such tight ball control. Ginola did, and Maddison's got it. Yeah. It's just consistently frustrates us, Although to be honest,
I think Modric has got that sort of touch as well. I always remember if I think of Modric, I think he has the ability to be able to kind of just bring down a ball or just pop a ball out of the air and just stop it dead. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's consistent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Bale was a bit more close control, wasn't he? When he's with the afterburner. So Maddison, look, but even though he's coming to criticism of fans, which is probably because results haven't gone our way, his numbers are good though. His numbers are good.
It's just consistency. I think, and that's something we lack all over the pitch is consistency with so many of our players. We talked about it with Yves Bissouma. We talk about it with Brennan Johnson. Pretty much almost everybody. And to be fair to them, as my therapist would have me do, you put yourself in their shoes, and it's kind of like, okay, well, there's so many injuries right now that they're just knackered because they don't get a rest. And as a result, you're going to have inconsistent performances. But they're pros, and are they knackered or are they? I just don't know. I don't know if they're working too hard in practice. I know they're not practicing at the moment, but I don't know what they're doing. But they all seemed by minute 80, the team seemed dead in that Hoffenheim game. They just looked exhausted.
I thought they come out second half, and I actually think they were told to you haven't got to go mad now and burn yourselves out. Because Andrew would know. It's not his way of playing to say we sit back and do that. But I think under the circumstances we find ourselves in with all the injuries, that look, just manage the game. It'll probably say just manage the game. And we nearly came unstuck. Right, let's go through the chat. Big up David Clark's, good friend of the channel, was always in here. And bumping up Davidson. It was cool. It was good, great goal.
Big up round table.
Left back. That's Nick.
Good job, Nick.
Left back. Well, we'll get on to the Leicester game afterwards because we'll get onto that later. I don't want to wander off this. Thank you, Miss Bunny. Glad you.
Thank you.
Nice one.
To listen to us. Nick again, evening chats. Nick, if you ever want to come on, if you want to come on, let us know. We'll give you the link. David Clark, same for you. If you ever want to come on, mate, I can always give you the link. Just let me know.
Yeah, so not a good spot to be in. Not a good spot. But to your point, Alan, I mean, I think even before the 80th minute, and you're basically, I mean, what's happened since the last game? I mean, the only thing that's happened is these guys have got 70 to 90 more minutes in their legs. They haven't been rotated. The issue just compounds itself week on week. And I'm kind of almost at the point personally where I had a bit of a wobble and I was starting to get angry and frustrated, and I had to kind of check myself a little bit and realize that these guys are doing absolutely everything at the moment. And there are people that, may choose to see that differently. And, I respect everyone's decision and, feelings and the way they see things. But yeah, I see guys out there just giving as much as they can for as long as they can. And I think you're right, Adrian. I think there was a change, not necessarily a change in philosophy, but the coaching staff or whoever said, you just got to take a step back in this second half and we've just got to really try and conserve some energy. And you could tell that from the shape of the back line. Everyone was trying to line up with the last man. And that's just, that's them actually doing what we've kind of been asking them to do for weeks. So yeah,
we got to a stage where I was looking at the formation. It's different because I always look for that at the ground when people can't see what I'm seeing on the telly. And I like to see the changes when we drop back, because we tend to drop back into a 3 or a 4 mainly. But we sort of started off like 4-2-3-1, and then I see us at 4-4-2, and we were doing okay. But second half, we didn't really know how to manage that game because we had no out ball. We just couldn't get a ball out, and they put us under a lot of pressure, and we couldn't get a ball out to anyone. It just wouldn't stick. And that's the traps you try and set other teams when you're pressing them. You want them to kick it long. Because you've always got.
I mean, that's the fatigue, I think, kicking in, isn't it?
Again, force them to kick it long, And you could see that only 1 or 2 players were doing the press. If they're knackered, I get it. Well, moving on, and then this should have been a goal. 14 minutes, we're 1-0 up. Son to Porro.
Yeah,
I think it's one of those when you can't believe where you are and you've got the ball where it is situations like. But it was easier to get it on target than hit it wide.
It's easy for me to sit here and say, oh, well, he's gone with his left foot and he's gone right side of the post, whereas he should have really just gone left foot, left-hand side, because the gap was equally as wide. He probably just could have put it slightly past. And I think he's gone to be a little bit too cute and gone across, which you're told to do, in case the keeper spills it. But, I think he just should have slotted it left.
that wasn't the norm for him because most of his goals get scored in the other side, which you just mentioned. The volleys, the good volleys he's scored, because he's got great technique, Porro, even though he needs a rest as well. We'll come to that. But normally he's blasting them through. He usually comes in, he inverts, whereas Udogie doesn't, but that's my opinion on that. Others disagree. And like he smashes one that way or in the corner. You know,
but usually when he inverts, sorry, cut across you, when he inverts, he usually has time to shape it onto his right. This one was at him and he just took it on his left, just kind of somewhat instinctually. I think he's just dragged it across rather than just slotting it. You know, if he'd have used the instep, I say this because, you know, I used to be a professional footballer and I've been in that situation. But you would like to think that in that position, he probably should have gone left foot, left side, instep and just kind of curled it around rather than dragging it across. But yeah, what do I know?
Alan, did you see Ange? He wasn't happy with that miss either.
No. Ange was pretty animated this game.
Yeah.
He was pretty animated, and he was not. Look, neither was I. I wasn't happy about it. We can expect out of Porro, he can be pinpoint accurate with his passes and his shots and whatnot. We've seen him score amazing goals with far less going on in the moment. As you kind of pointed out, Adrian, it seemed like he would have had the perfect opportunity to score.
Yeah. I see this, Nick.
Oh, really?
I've gone out and learned the World Stone. Yeah, he looks well for the under-21s last year. I was watching all the games on Spurs playing. Like, he just looks a fantastic prospect. And we got some good ones because Keely's doing well at Orient. You know, so does anyone else have with this club has acted this season? Hanging on to Ange well after they normally would with any manager in it. And we could have a brief discussion on that later, Nick. We'll go through the game first. Because I think everyone knows these next few games are important. The Leicester game's mightily important. And then Elfsberg gets you in. Well, we're virtually in the knockout stage of the Europa League anyway. So that, it looks like our only access into Europe next season, winning it. So I think we will concentrate on all the cups. And Ange will go the strongest, but he will be, like, his eyes will really be on this one. Right. So,
I heard something about this. What was it? Troy Deeney did an interview. He was talking about it.
I feel like I think I heard somebody talking about this. All this story has come from the physio side, and apparently the physio didn't get on with anybody anyway. So now he's just, you know,
and
going out of his way to
changing the physical to the science team down there and physio team as well. These stories come out like the players ain't behind or players are not happy and all that. Listen, if you can't get a game in this team now, right, with all these injuries, none of those players should be unhappy because apart from the ones that are injured that want to come back, obviously. But you can't turn around and say, no, I haven't seen it. They'll back him. And you have to look at the other way. Even if you was unhappy, right? You guys have obviously played football. I was a crap right back, right? But if we're sort of halfway down the league, not going to win the league or anything, but we're in a chance in 3 cup competitions, I'm giving it my all because I want to win something. So the players will be all behind him. We'd have to go out, for there to be mass dissent, I think you'd have to go out all 3 cups. And that's not going to be at the Europa League anytime soon. Liverpool, that's finally balanced. We need a draw at Anfield. And the FA Cup away to Villa. If we lost there to Villa, no one would be surprised. But
if we won, I think if we won as well, nobody. I think that's a bit of a coin toss. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I
think 2 things can be true at the same time, right? I think that these players can have every right to be frustrated and unhappy that the club, to a certain extent, has left them a little bit high and dry in regards to, I think that they could have a couple of 25 to 28-year-old players on the books helping to relieve them. But I still think that they can obviously all still be behind the manager because I think they understand that it's not entirely his fault. I mean, I feel like he may have had a bit of a harsh word with a couple of them, and there may be some people sulking a little bit, but I don't think they're frustrated about playing football because they all love playing football. I think they're just a bit frustrated that they're so fatigued because of the situation. And that's, that's a lot of factors involved in that. I mean, it's a bit of a quagmire, as we well know, being Spurs supporters.
Well, to add to what Drew said, Alan, let's be beat about the bush. He did throw Werner under the bus. I mean,
oh yeah,
probably a lot
I
of
remember
Spurs
that.
fans would like to see him thrown under a real bus, but I mean,
Yep, and we haven't seen a whole lot of Timo since.
he's
so now he's injured. I don't know what happened to him. Oh wait, yeah. He's legit injured. Sometimes I always wonder about these injuries.
I feel like he was. Yeah, I feel they disappeared and they just pop up out of
nowhere.
nowhere.
They just hurt in practice.
Maybe one of the players kicked him in training.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows what happened?
Yeah, he just offers nothing at all.
Yeah,
good point, David. If you've got any questions in the chat, put them in. We'll try and get to them. What's this now? David just watched something that he wanted to play apparently, but it's like being a dad. Yeah. I mean, I'll give Angie his due though. When Romero was slightly hurt in the game, he pulled him off. Romero didn't want to come off. I mean, this is a few games back. I mean, even when Romero got concussed at Brentford, do you remember that first game when he scored the header? He still didn't want to come off. And but give Angie his due. It's not that. It's he's got concern for players' welfare. I'll give him that, right? Can't blame Porro's wrong foot, isn't it? They ought to shoot across the other. I think Porro's I think he's a fantastic footballer. It's just, but his age.
I'm very surprised, David Clark, for the amount of crap that I see you give some players.
Yeah, he don't beat about the bush, David.
He don't beat about the bush, and now all of a sudden we can't blame Porro because it was his wrong foot. 150 grand a week to not be able to kick it with your wrong foot. Big up, David Clark.
I bet he is two-footed. I bet he is. He's just it just is more. Don't want to be grumpy. Isn't good ones for sure. Come on, you Spurs. Yes,
no. We'll keep it light and we'll keep it nice.
Yeah.
This is why I'm wearing the safety orange, man. This is why it's a safety meeting.
Graham's here. Big up, Graham. Good evening, gents. Let's have more of the site. Yes, Graham. Yes. Yeah, let's be positive and I think the fans will really be behind the team Sunday. And not that they aren't anyway, but because they know it's important. If there's any hissing or hissy fits after, it'll only be if we haven't got the result.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I would love it. I would love for us to just have a bit more of a. Do you know what? I feel like a back's against the wall. Do you know what? Let's do it. Just do it for the sake of doing it, camaraderie. I don't know. There is so much divide in the fan base, and it's awful to listen to and see. And I just almost want, I don't know, we started to get to the point where it's backs against the wall, and actually, do you know what, let's all just get together in spite of this crap, and then we'll all start falling out at the end of the season. But for right now, let's just all come together.
Evening, Dan, welcome to the show. We're just going through the chat and we're going through the banners on the game, so you'll soon get into the swing of this.
Evening, Adrian. Evening, Alan. Sorry.
What's up, Dan?
What's your name, buddy?
That's
I'm
Alan.
Drew. Hello, mate.
That's Drew Zilla.
Oh, Drew Zilla. Oh, I've seen you in the chat.
Just
nice
Drew.
Just
Drew.
Just Drew.
Mate.
Nice to meet you. Big up to everyone in the chat. Sorry, Adrian, I'm late. I've just had
That's all right. Don't worry about it.
Busy day. I've still got to work tonight, so I could give about an hour.
That's fine.
Yeah, happy to be on.
That's fine. You can stream it to your channel and all,
Yeah.
While you're on.
It's okay, man. Thank you.
Right, Graham saying hi, Drew. I thought you said hi earlier, buddy. All good. Right, let's go to Nick, audio artisan Nick. Right, David. Different thing. I say Poch never wanted any plats to laugh, and the story's still coming. Yeah, we'll get into that. Can't believe Ainge can't see. Oh, Ainge sees it. That's why he keeps saying, "I need help. I need help." There's without making a Conte rant, right? So while we're on the ban, and Dan's here, you can find Dan here. We'll post these at the end of the show as he's going to leave early anyway. Get over there, and Dan's got his show, does a lot with Nige. Nige was coming on today, but Nige he's not feeling well, so all these bugs going around this time of year. So yeah. So back to the banners. Where was I? So I've got to scroll back. Bear with me. I don't remember this, even though I took a note of it. I don't remember it right. There was a grey block. But I remember this. So this was a good save by Austin, Dan. Do you remember it? I think this was the save down to his left with his hand. I think it was that one. Yeah. Unless it's another one coming up. Because
he made some good saves, didn't he, last night?
Yeah.
Really, really good. It's just such a shame, isn't it, that we had to bring in a new goalie. Adrian, was you a little bit disappointed that we're not pushing him on a bit?
Well, the thing with Austin was now he's 25, 26. They give him a 5 or 6 year contract. I mean, we can be cynical and say it's because he's homegrown and he's academy trained. And you need 4 academy trained players out of the 8 have got to be with a club registered 3 years in your Europa League squad. If you haven't got 4, you get penalised. Wow. This is why, and we've only got him and Whiteman, I think. And I mean, so anyone on the B list, you only have to be with the academy 2 years to go on the B list, and you can have as many as you like in your B list. And that squad is not set in stone because you only have to name it 24 hours before a Europa League game, and you can have as many on the B list as you want. But it's this rule. I mean, and we did that. And at the same time, we got rid of Skip and Winks, who would have counted, So even the young black player that went.
I mean, they would have counted, but would they have been useful given the other players
this is
that
the
we've
thing,
already got filling those positions?
You could put 2 extras in. If Ain didn't fancy Evian, the only thing you're gaining is 2 extra players in your Europa League squad. Instead of 23, you got a squad of 25. So that's what you're getting. So, and Austin, going back to the point Dan made, Austin was England under 21 goalkeeper, right? And all last season, when I'm watching the under 21s, and now that Gunter's gone out to Wealdstone on loan, and good luck to him, I think he's going to be a superb goalkeeper. When all that time, when the under 21s are doing well, where's Austin? Whiteman got injured. He's been farmed out to Scandinavian countries and that before. But where's Brandon Austin? Where's the rave about him? The positions you didn't get no raves about in the under 21s last year were at fullback. Because if we'd had fullbacks they'd raved about, we'd have been using them now. There is Dante Casanova, what a name. Dante Casanova plays at fullback, and Mason King, Mason at MAE or something. But
wasn't it Austin out? Austin was out at Orlando, wasn't he, for a little while? Didn't he get like 6 or 7 games out there? I guess he's just kind of just flattered to deceive, or I mean, not even flattered to deceive. I think that's probably a bit of an exaggeration, but I think, I don't know, it's one of those things where I think you give him a chance, but then Dan, if you turn around and say, all right, you've got the chance to give Brandon Austin a chance, but then there's the option to bring in a 21-year-old that's already got Champions League experience, and people are murmuring that, he could be Petr Cech-like or Manuel Neuer-like. You kind of go, all right, maybe we should give this guy a look.
Look, I get that, man. I get that. I just think it's sad for him. He waited 7 seasons for his kind of full debut, and then he had the game and he played pretty well. And then the next day, another keeper comes in just for him. It's just sad, isn't it? Sad for the guy because he didn't do anything wrong when he played.
He had a decent pre-season, but he's another one like Forster, who's kicking is not that hot, and that's why you look at Kinski. He's coming, he's confident, commands the area. If you're going to block him off, he's going to come out and punch you in the head or whatever. You know what I mean? And so. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think the modern goalkeeper's got to be able to kick. No. And that's probably why
it's funny when...
I think Vicaro's missed that era because because of being 27 when, you know, it wasn't taught at his time, even though he's a very good goalkeeper.
It reminds me of like a David De Gea.
Oh, sorry. Go on, Alan.
Go on, Alan.
Oh no, I was just saying Vicario kind of reminds me like a David De Gea. I think kind of an older school, not a sweeper keeper.
No.
He's not a sweeper keeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's typically Tottenham that you've got Brandon Austin, who, like we said, was, you know, like you say, ready to come in, and he doesn't set the world alight, and then all of a sudden we buy a keeper, and he actually has a couple of good games. But if we'd have gone into the back half of this season, or if we were going into next season, or even gone into this season, and you'd had Vicario as your first choice and Brandon Austin as your backup, everyone would have been up in arms. We need to get a new keeper. We need to get a new keeper. Now we got a new keeper, and we're all like, oh, poor Brandon Austin. And I'm with you on that as well. I feel sorry for the guy as well. But it's just a typically Tottenham scenario that would be the case, you know.
I think Kingsley was an opportunist signing that would go for the summer. But before we brought him in, there was quite a section of the fan base going, oh, we need another keeper. And it was a question whether we went early or waited until the summer. But while we're on keepers, Dan, this was a good save by Austin. He fumbled it a bit and grabbed it at the second attempt. Do you remember the low drive?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he got there, and I think someone's going to cover him anyway, because if he didn't get the ball, one of our defenders, I forget which one it was now, was going to
Dragusin,
yeah. Was going to block the player off to let him get the ball anyway, right? And that was a good save, Aldo. What a miss this was, Alan. That Maddison free kick, and Bergvall comes in on the left hand side of the post. I mean, like, and he headed it wide. I mean, like, oh God. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I really like Bergvall. He's so young. And he's got such a high ceiling that it's that inexperience that he'll hopefully grow into experience to be able to be clinical when we need them to be clinical. That's something Sonny has that younger players don't yet have. They just have to be blooded in, I guess. But I could forgive him for it going wide simply because you can't expect that.
Sorry to cut across you, but slight correction. He got it on target. The keeper made a save. I'm watching it now. He actually got it on target. It was a pretty decent header, and the keeper came across and saved it. So he didn't actually head it wide. He got it. He got it on target.
Yeah, it was a comfortable height for the keeper, wasn't it? It was a comfortable.
Well, I mean, all right. Well, now, but yeah.
Well, I mean, you know,
did force a save.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay. And then, well, that was about it for the second half. So we were pretty good for 25 minutes. I know we had this late chance, and then they've come out.
Remember the Porro chance, Andrew? Do you remember the Porro chance?
Yeah,
a really good chance.
Yeah.
Frustrated with him, and they didn't put that away.
Yeah, that Porro chance was on the 14th minute. But we gone past that. Then they came out. And we had a little bit of discussion about this earlier, Dan, that we think because of the legs and the team's gas, that Ange probably said to them, well, it's not his philosophy, like just your 2 goals up, manage the game. Because we had a total different approach in the second half. And 55 minutes, Kramaric, looping header, come off the crossbar with Austin stranded. You know, it was a good header, actually. And that was the first scare of them coming back into the game. And then
weren't we sitting back more in the second half? It seemed like they had a ton of shots on goal compared to we had like 8. They had like 20 something.
Yeah, I've got the stats at the end of the game. Like I'll bring them up.
I've got a question for the panel, because I was talking about this yesterday on stream, and I was a bit confused, and I just it'd be interesting to hear you guys' opinions. Now that midfield 3 that we played yesterday, Bentancur, Maddison, and Bergvall, well, very, I think, good technical players. I think they are. And I was quite surprised how we couldn't hold on to the ball better in that second half. I get the bit that if Ange told them to sit back a bit because they're tired, but I'm just surprised that we just couldn't manage the game in a possession way. Someone also said that it wasn't their fault; it was our forwards weren't holding the ball up as well. So maybe it's a bit of both, but just a bit disappointing around our kind of control, like the game management. And just you've got your kind of opinion on that.
When you looked at their success they had, they were virtually bypassing our midfield by getting overloads on the left and right flank.
Yeah,
they were coming down the side. They weren't trying to come through the middle of us. And and every team plays narrow. Back fours are always narrow because they don't want you to play through the middle of them. So, and this is what, and it will come up in the stats later because they had about 40 crosses during the game. So it tells you they got into, wide positions. And to me, if we had a fit squad of players, we go there and we're not gassed, we win that game quite comfortably, I think. I don't think that's just being like, a part.
So let me just check this, Adrian. So you're saying that because our weaknesses are our fullbacks. A lot of teams get at us at the width. They target us. So do you think it was a tactical change from their manager to target our wings? So you don't think it's so much that we just couldn't control the ball in midfield? I'm just.
We did manage the game well. I don't think. I think they do that. That is their style of playing. Apparently, what I've heard, lots of crosses into the box and things like that. So they do that. But in the first half, when we were on the ball, we're on the front foot. We're a different team when everyone's fit and passing through. And you can see what happened away at Man United and away at Man City in games like that when we got a fresh fit squad. Doesn't mean to say that you don't lose games when you got a fully fit squad. All teams do, or a near enough fully fit squad. You're still going to lose games, but with fresh players, you've got what I've said. You make mistakes. You lose that. It's not just you lose that speed of fault. Your touch might desert you a bit. You might hit the ball a little, which we've done a lot of. We've either just slightly overhit balls or underhit balls. But when we're slick, we can sort of like score 3 goals in 15 minutes against teams. And we're fitter than most teams, but we're gassed now. A lot of the games when we played last season, we'd scored a lot of goals late in the second half. But I think we try to manage the game, and we're not that great at managing games at this moment in time. I still think that's an evolution.
It's an understatement.
I think that's been like that all season, guys. I just think injuries, no injuries, tiredness, no tiredness. I think there's been a common theme with us that we don't manage games well. We have those 15-minute bursts of goals, but we never really dominate a game, do we? No team dominates the whole game, but just that there's just definitely a lack of game management from the players. And I just expected more with those technical midfielders on the team. But again, it could be tiredness, tactics from the other manager. It could be a number of things. But just a bit disappointed there.
Yeah. 56 minutes, Mikey Moore comes off to Richarlison, who was blowing a bit. I wondered if he was actually going to start this game because I thought, is Mikey Moore going to start? It'll be fresher. But I suppose Ange decided to play Richarlison until he was gassed and then changed him. But I was pleased to see him come on, although I wanted him to start. This was a good attempt by Bischoff. When he chipped Austin, you see Austin struggle to run back, but the ball just went past the far post, didn't it? So that was a scare. And then Drew, this 62 minutes, the referee awards a penalty, which was overturned by VAR. On first sight, when you see these things happen so quickly, I'm praying it's not a penalty. I'm a Spurs fan, but I couldn't tell. I thought, it didn't look. It didn't sort of look a penalty because it weren't Austin come out, and he was trying to get the ball. Now at the time, I thought he may have made contact with a player here, so the refs give a penalty, but he wasn't looking at the player. He was looking at the ball anyway, wasn't he? Because he's obviously got to get it, so he's got to get to the ball. What was your take on it?
I was listening to a watch along, so I was hearing it, but I didn't get a chance to see it. So I was interested when I got home and I started watching the replay. It was one of the things that stuck in my mind to look out for. And honestly, when it happened, like I couldn't, I guess in hindsight, because subconsciously I already knew it wasn't. You obviously look at it and you go, "There's no way." I guess the only thing that I can think that the referee thought that he maybe punched him in the head or something because it was so quick. He thinks he's made contact with the player before he's made contact with the ball. But what I don't understand is why the referee, because I feel like when you do look at the replay, it's actually clear as day. So I don't know why the referee didn't just get a dude, he's got the ball. You just need to, that's no way that's a penalty. I don't know why he had to go over to the monitor. And I don't know why then the decision when he was looking at the monitor took so long. So I can understand initially why he may have thought that the keeper's punched him in the head, but I don't know why the decision afterward had to take so long. And at first glance for me, it honestly looked like it should have been, if anything, it should have been a free kick on the keeper to me. But,
Alan, I reckon that referee must be a right control freak. I'm going, go to the effing monitor. He was so sincere. You're going to take this penalty. I thought he's going to ignore the VAR officials, like that might dent his career a bit. But I thought, why aren't you fucking going to the monitor?
Yep. Oh yeah. I was really surprised that. Well, it did initially look like he got hit in the head, and that Brandon Austin hit him. The player went down like a sack of potatoes, and they even called the physio out and everything. So I think the ref was kind of swayed by that initially. I'm a little biased because I think goalies get away with a lot of physical contact on players that the players who are not the goalie would not be able to get away with if the roles were reversed and someone bangs into a goalie. I don't know that, goalies can punch players in the head or they really hit them hard. And there's certain goalies like, was it Martinez on Aston Villa and stuff, like guys that are willing to be pretty physical with players in front of them. But in this case, I think Brandon Austin, when you do watch the video, you see his hand, the ball kind of comes off his hand first, but it's like that, I can see why he entertained it. I thought the guy was going to take the shot before the ref got back from VAR.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen worse things. I mean, I always used to close my eyes when Lloris came out of his penalty area because I just used to think he's going to snap someone in two, like, you know what I mean? Like, because like it's Feyenoord or whatever it was when he got sent off. I think it was or whatever. Yeah.
What was Austin supposed to do, guys? He went for the ball. The ball came in. He went for it. He's got much as right as the striker to try and punch it away or get a hand to it. So I think it was the right decision. It wasn't a penalty.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Oh yeah, it wasn't a penalty.
Absolutely.
I mean,
no, it wasn't a penalty.
They're all going, I'm surprised if it's given, but you have to say that I'm surprised if it's given because some penalties, you think, well, 50-50, is this going to be given or not? So
well, and not only did he give the penalty, but he gave him a yellow. Well, he had awarded him a yellow card. He must have thought that it was a malicious kind of act.
Yeah, but even that, it
wasn't.
wasn't.
I think he obviously thought it was malicious or something. But I just feel like maybe it's just because I'm a Tottenham supporter, but I feel like 10 games that happens in, the Tottenham game is the one where we have to go through all of this and the penalty's awarded and then you go through VAR. But in the 9 other games, that would have been a free kick for the goalkeeper and we'd have all just carried on. So I don't get it.
If it had been harder contact, you can understand him giving a yellow card. It's as if like there's some mandate in the rules. Oh, well, you give a penalty against the goalkeeper, you've got to give him a yellow card because he's either brought the player down, tripped him or whatever. And he's last man as well, usually. Yeah, so anyway, Dan, 68 minutes, just 6 minutes later, we thought we got away with one. Low cross from the left, Stack scores. Just crept in the corner between the two defenders.
Yeah, well, leading up to that goal, we were under immense pressure, weren't it? It was attack after attack. We couldn't get out. That goal was coming. Obviously, we had the penalty scare, didn't go for them. But you know what really I didn't understand with that goal was Porro. He didn't even attempt to try and block the cross.
No.
What was that? Why didn't even a time put a foot out to block it? I was very poor from Porro there. Guys, what do you think?
We've conceded a lot of goals. I don't know if it's just football, whether I'm imagining things, but we must have conceded out of the goals we've conceded at least 15 or 16 goals in all competitions in the left-hand corner of our goal mouth, whichever way we're facing, right? You go back and look at some, and that is normally Porro and Romero's side.
Yeah.
I don't know if Porro's knackered at that stage. Now we're looking to make excuses. I mean, I like the player. I think his technique is fantastic. He's just, I mean, when first games when he came to us, right? Newcastle away and Leicester away, he was an absolute nightmare. And we got butchered in those. We got our asses handed to us in both those games, right? 6-1 away or something, whatever. And like never looks over his shoulder, as I think David here from Leicester mentioned earlier.
Yeah, he still doesn't.
I'm always worried there's even a cross from the right hand side that goes across that goal mouth. You're worried it's going to drop in behind him, right? He did say at the end of last season, I've got to improve my defending. But he hasn't improved that much defensively, in my opinion. He hasn't. And if
he's a bit of a liability, isn't he? Defensively, Porro, I think. Great going forward. Got a great cross on him, a great pass. Look at the pass for the first goal to Maddison. Excellent. It's just maybe he probably is best as a wing back in the team. He can't defend. Let's be honest, guys. He does struggle a lot.
If you did a poll amongst Spurs fans now, they're probably picking Spence over him on the right hand side when everyone's fit.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Spence I didn't know. I'd only seen him in the second division. Blah blah blah. See him that cup game against Arsenal. Blah blah blah. I thought this guy's good at going forward. But with a defender, and the first priority is like, I want to see if you can defend, and he can. Yeah. And he holds. Well, we're moving on to Spence now. We'll move on because we come to Spence later, right? And then we got our jail card because, like, you know, about 9 minutes later, Mikey Moore gets his second assist in 2 games. It was a good one against Everton. The ball for Richarlison, and this one, and Sonny. That's a Sonny goal. The first goal he gets, massive deflection, wasn't it? Like, you know, so this is a Sonny goal, right? And it was a good finish in the far corner. Although I would question their goalkeeper for this one as well. Anyone?
Yeah, that was good. It was a good step. You know, as you said, a Sonny goal. He does his step over and then he takes the shot. The goalie could have done better, because he was pretty far over on the left-hand side, shooting it over and way across goal. I think the goalie could have done better, but I just don't think he thought. Normally, Sonny does like 2 step overs. He did 1 step over and then boom, went and took the shot. I think the goalie, the way he kind of stuttered for a second, it looked kind of like he was anticipating something that Sonny would do that he didn't do and just took the shot and kind of caught him off guard. But good goal.
Yeah. And then 79 minute, Lancashire comes on for Son, who looked gassed. And then move up. I'll be 2 seconds, right? Just got to turn the gas.
His dinner's ready. His dinner's ready.
I think that goal was Son of old, wasn't it? That goal. It was, you know, what he used to do for us, Son. I think it was an excellent finish for him. Really happy for him to get, you know, that goal, because he has been a bit off colour, isn't he? A lot of people have been saying Son's finished. I don't think that's fair. Obviously, he has dropped down a level, but it was good to see him score that goal.
Yeah.
Well, his numbers are good.
Yeah, I agree. Very, very clinical finish. Very clinical finish.
He might have lost the afterburners. He scored a sweet goal from a Sarr pass into West Ham's half, and he was only about 2.5 yards. And he did run the length of that half, bamboozle the defenders and smash it in the net. And there's the one where VDV ran the length of the field against Everton, and he was just Just like he was a few yards behind him, and VDV's got the start on him, and VDV feeds him, and he smashed that goal in. Look, he's not slow. We're going through. It's a bit like self-flagellation, isn't it, with Spurs fans at the moment? We're looking to beat everything with a stick we can put our eyes on because the results are not going. I get it. I get the angst, but he scored 10. He scored 10 goals now, I think, in all comps. Last finished with about 16. We got what, 16 games to go? Is it something like that? He's going to have the same numbers, but I will agree with fans when you're watching him games. Although he's still getting goals, which is good. On the eye test, that's not the Sonny I'm used to seeing.
Right.
Yeah,
The instinctive Sonny. He's missed a few this year that he would have buried. The one at Everton. He's like straight at the goalkeeper, that Sonny of old, he's putting that in the corner, So he has lost it, but he had the hernia operation at the end of the 23-24 season. And I don't know if he's still quite right, but he needs to be, look, Sonny, he's 32. You play him every other game. You don't play him twice a week unless you really have to, as far as I'm concerned. Well, we'll see. He's got another year, so fans can huff and puff and hiss, but he's going to be with us next year. And at the moment, we haven't got a replacement for Sonny. We haven't got one. He's the best. He's the best finisher with his right and left foot at the club. But when he misses one, Sonny, what about when the other players miss one?
yeah. No, that you bring up a really good point. I think that's a failing of our hierarchy, that we haven't been grooming a Sonny replacement. Same with when we lost Harry Kane. We didn't groom someone else, because Harry Kane wasn't in his early 20s. He was like 30, 31. And, we had all that time with him to groom someone to be his replacement. We should be doing that as a routine. Our best players, we should be grooming for their eventual either retirement or moving on, like, Real Madrid or something like that poaches them the way they poached Bale and Modric.
Yeah, and down 80 minutes, Dr. Tottenham, come to help Hoffenheim there. The guy gets a clear header on the far post. I mean, like, where was the marking for
Horror
this?
side again, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Horror side again.
Yeah.
It was a bit worried. I was a bit worried. I thought they may come back, but they did manage to defend it and stay and get that win. Look, it's just what we do, isn't it, Spurs? We never make it easier for ourselves.
What's the saying? Squeaky bum time?
Yeah.
Now, I know this kid was only on for 6 minutes. I've watched him, right? But I'm not going to say what I think. Callum Alusais is his name. Alusais, right? Came on for 6 minutes. He had some touches. Anyone?
There's only so much you can do in 6 minutes. I mean, and I'm glad he's getting minutes. I've seen him on the bench a bunch, and originally I didn't know anything about him. He seems like a pretty big. He's a big kid. He looks so young. How old is he? 17, 18?
18, I think.
Is he 18?
Yeah, we had 5 18.
18 looks so young.
And that's unheard of in a Premier League team. An away game in a European game,
Yeah, no, it's an odd time to blood him in, but look, they're all going to have to get blooded in. Waiting for the towel boy to come out and start playing. We're running out of people.
He's got.
I thought he looked pretty assured. I think he had a couple of really nice touches. There's a lot. You can't ask for too much in 6 minutes, but I think he did everything that was asked of him. Right, when he got the ball, he ran in the direction that was away from our goal. So I think he did pretty good. He
reminds me. I've watched him before. There's a bit about him that reminds me a bit of. I mean, I don't know if Emily in the chat would have seen Mickey Hazard play. He's got a bit of a Mickey Hazard about him. Yeah, a lot. Yeah. There's on the ball. Need to see if he's a bit lightweight because we had the same thing when we tried Tyrus Hall, who came through the under-18s and last season or something. He scored in the under-16s ranks. He scored about 16 goals, not another midfielder with a for goal, right? And there's another one that they're at, Williams Barnett as well. I mean, he's another one who smashes them in. He's been converted from midfielder to a number 10 in their life. So we need to see these kids go out on loan, more of them. You know, it's not about the academy winning all them competitions they've won recently at all levels, like last year, because now a lot of the players have gone out on loan. The under-21s aren't doing so good, but it's about developing players for the future anyway. And if you win a trophy, that's a bonus, isn't it? You know, so
yeah.
And then big sighs of relief. The game's ends 9 and it ends, right? Some stats for you, right? They had 56% possession to our 44. Actually, both teams had 5 shots on target. They had 22 shots to our 8. They had 6 corners to our 4. Pass accuracy, we were better. They had 76 to 79. Look at the way they play their game. They rely on crosses and overloads. They had 40 crosses to our 10, which is why second half we didn't really press them much apart from get the goal. And like clearances for them was 11, for us was 35. So as Dan was alluding to, we really were under pressure. Aerial duels again, 40% for them. They won. We won 60%, but that could be 4 out of 10. 40%, you don't know. You know, it's not 40 out of 100, is it? The aerial duels against 6. We might have won 6 out of 10. Fouls 6 each. Tackles they won 42% and we won 62%. So although we looked very nervy, we did actually defend. It was decent. Goals were sloppy, but it was sort of like we definitely sat back to manage that game with a 2-goal lead when we really needed. We should have gone in at half time, 3 goals in the clear anyway, you know. But I
love that they have so many more crosses than us. I mean, that just, to me, that sums up one of our major needs is someone that can cross and do it successfully. It's why we were so pissed off about Timo Werner. And, you know, the guy has such pace, but he can't cross the ball. And Brennan Johnson's kind of the same way. I'm not to say he never does it. He does it. He just doesn't do it with the frequency he should be doing it. Same with Timo, same with Sonny. I think Sonny tries to take it on and do it himself instead of crossing.
Werner needs to keep running until he disappears over the horizon. Really.
Yeah.
As we normally do, now we discuss the game. For those of you watching, it's 41. Thank you, 41 of you viewing us now. That's great. I mean, like, if you like our content, please smash the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. We're only about 31 away from 1,000. We've only been going 6-7 months, so we're doing fine. Also, down in the live ticker below, you can actually we do have a Facebook group which has got over 14,000 members, and you'll find me on the links here going across the ticker now, Facebook.com groups. For those that use Facebook, if you don't, it doesn't matter. And the same with XCOM Twitter, you'll find me there. I might get that name changed to actually Spurs Diehards, so everything's in unison. Right, so thanks for all you viewing us. Right, so now when we normally go for the team for those viewers, we then go through the players. We don't do players ratings, we just discuss players. Like, so Dan Austin, what are your thoughts on his performance?
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. He didn't make any mistakes. He made some saves. No problem with him. I think. Should we give scores or not? Or we're not doing scores.
No.
Just a good performance from him, and
because you do scores, people do 6, then it was 6.5, then it's like 6 3/4 and 6 7/8 in old money. You know what I mean? Things like that. You know.
Yeah, he was fine. He done fine. Good performance. Yeah. Let's be nice. He put in a good performance.
Let's pick one of these, Al.
I'll take Porro since I concentrated more on Porro. I didn't see as much of Gray. I just, you know, you can only concentrate on so many players at a time. I was concentrating on Porro, watching him because I've been very critical of him and his ability to defend. I think because isn't he a wing back? Doesn't he know how to or he's not an inverted wing back, really, though. I don't know if he knows, because he doesn't know how to look back. He doesn't see the danger coming. So I think both goals were one goal. The second goal, I think the was it the headed goal that he really was on his side, or were they both on his side?
Both.
I mean, they
cross come from the left, across on his side as well.
Yeah, that cross that came in. I mean, if you look at it from actually the face of the goal, that ball gets headed in, and it's about parallel with the far post. So really, there is an argument that the defence has yet again come a little bit too far across. And really, when you think that it's in and around the penalty spot, you really want one of your centre backs in the position that Porro was in, heading that away. So I personally think that defensive line has come across way too much yet again. And I think he's not the tallest dude anyway. And he doesn't, like we've all just said, he doesn't really have a tendency to look over his shoulder because he's been a wing back for 24 years and he's been a right back for 18 months. So it's just one of those things. But I personally think Dragusin or Davis should have been heading that ball away. I don't think it should have been left to Porro. Sorry to cut across you, Al.
No, Al.
No, that's good.
Let's stay with you, Alan. And I've argued this point as well, right? Now, it's easy. We're great hindsight critics after a game, and because it's so easy to be critical.
Right, of course.
Made the wrong subs, done this.
Monday morning quarterback.
I've mentioned it before games that, like, if you're playing a team in Porro's to your right, if you're the right-sided midfielder or a sitting midfielder, and Porro's going forward, there should be some footballing IQ here. Right, okay, I have got to come across and cover for him, right? I will come across and cover, or I'll just drop back 2 or 3 yards. Don't see that with the Spurs team. I still think they're developing, and to have that like intelligent awareness and positioning, to sort of like counter that, because he is good going forward,
He's great going forward. And I know a lot of people have said they'd like to see him either in midfield. I mean, at this point, Ange could do it. I mean, you move him up there, to the midfield, or put him on a wing. I mean, we're so low on personnel that we really do need some help somewhere and some creativity. Ange doesn't seem to be shy of moving people around. So, the problem with Porro, again, to me, is just he's not getting it. It's just whatever, projects sometimes work and sometimes they don't work. And I think with Porro as the right back, I just don't think it works. I really don't. And I think every team that we play seems to have gone through the highlights reels, in practice and said, oh, look, the weak spot's down the right side, because we see it time and again. So I'm curious when we're going to fix that, whether it be with a replacement for him and move him to a different position, or they really drill it into him how to be a right back. But it's costing us goals, and we're not clinical enough up front to where we can kind of laugh those off. We're not like a Man City, or we're not a goal machine where we can manufacture goals despite whatever the opponent scores. So we just can't be giving away goals like that.
Well, my view, sorry, Adrian, my view on it is that he has played a hell of a lot of games. We haven't used Spence enough throughout the season, given him a rest. But then I think this is a kind of universal problem across the squad, that who has really improved this season across the team? They've more kind of regressed, and that's the concern for me. That's my view. I just don't think any player in the team has really progressed this season or improved. I don't know, guys. Say if you think I'm wrong there, or is anybody for you improved?
I agree.
This season, any player across the team because that's what should happen, really, shouldn't it?
Well,
not everybody, but there should be, there should be like a few up their game and we've seen some progression. And I just think the team across the whole season have just underperformed.
I think Jed Spence has kind of looked. I would say Bergvall and Spence, I think, are the two players I could see are doing better. I'm not saying that it's because of Ange, just that I think that they as players have really stepped up and have been doing very well. Whether it's because of practice and they're getting better and that's Ange's influence, or whether it's just they've decided on their own to stand up and say, look, I'm going to do as best I can, and doing the best they can.
I think it's a bit of
the thing is we got new bodies in, so it's a bit of a hard. It looks that question makes perhaps it look worse than it is, because I mean, I didn't want Johnson when he first come, but I've warmed him. He's shown that he's got composure, he's got a quality finish on him as well, right? But he's improved. Well, he's our top goal scorer. He's got about 11, I think, in all competitions. Slanky, I didn't know much about. So you can't say he's improved because he wasn't with us the season before, but he's impressed. Spence, again, come in. I didn't know if you can defend. He has definitely impressed, right? And then you'd have to say Gray's made over 25 appearances this season. He's definitely an oven-ready squad player now, Gray is, you know. So, and Bergvall, he looks a bit special as well. We need to see even more of him, but he's shown enough against, you know, tough opposition that can more than hold his own, as Gray has done, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, that's and obviously Kinski's just come in and he's impressed from day one. He's been thrown into important games, and we know he's a good goalkeeper. If he goes for a bad patch, the fan base will be on his back like nothing, like they are every player like that. And we'll critique him as well if he makes a silly error. But you know. But back to
Gray, Adrian. With Gray, do you think they brought him in to play midfield, or do you think they have brought him in to play in defence? Because he's kind of like a utility player now, isn't he? And just turning into a. What is the plan with Gray? What did they sign him for midfield?
I think Gray's one of those players you bring him in because he just oozes that quality, and you yet to define what his best position really is. Although he bossed the game in midfield against Chelsea in a cup competition, right? And a bit like to say when Harry Redknapp was first describing Gareth Bale, he actually said, I'm not quite sure what his best position is, whether it is as a left wing back or left winger. And we all know like it was attacking forward in the end, the winger come inside left striker. Some players you don't know. I mean, like, and we haven't seen Gray in midfield to judge him that much. Wherever he slotted in, all those he hasn't let the side down. He didn't have a greatest game against Everton. He didn't have one great against Bayern Munich, one of the pre-season friendlies. He got bullied, and actually Bergvall come on and played really well in the one of those pre-season friendlies. But everyone says number 6. I don't like terms 6 and 8. I just go like midfielder to me. You're either a holding.
Is he a midfielder or is he a defender?
He can do both. He can do both. I have no qualms about it. He played 30 games for Leeds as a right back out of necessity. He played about 3 games for him as a number 10, and the other games he played in midfield. He's quite comfortable. How can you just put someone 18? I mean, like he's looked better than Dragusin as a central defender. If you didn't know it, you'd think he was a central defender. He's looked better than Dragusin. He's better on the ball. His recoveries are good. He's good in the air. He's fast. He's not dynamite fast, but he's not slow because he can get back and recover. He's got a biting tackle on him. Mind you, so has Bergvall. Pity some of our other midfielders don't put the tackles in like they do, even though Bergvall nearly got sent off against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Gray, for me, I think we've seen him a lot more due to the injuries, right? I don't know if we've seen him as much. But you cannot fault the kid at all.
No.
You cannot fault the kid. He has done his best. We don't know what position he is, but he's doing his best. He came left back last night. And yeah, he got caught a few times, but he's not a left back. And I just think, I just don't know what really is going to happen with him kind of moving forward. I don't know what the plan is. it's a little bit unclear. And I don't think Ange has told us either. If I'm
Oh,
wrong.
look, when everyone's fit, I mean, both Porro and Gray are in need of a rest. We can now bring Reguilon and Dispense back, and you've got a left back and a right back there. So then you're looking at so when Porro's fit, and you've got Davis as well if he doesn't get moved on in the summer. When he's fit, you only see Gray playing in midfield, and I see him as the biggest threat to Basuma going personally, because I think
I'd like to see him in midfield
midfielders that have been inconsistent. I think, don't get me wrong, Basuma's got great technique on the ball, but he's just like, again, we're going off subject a bit. It's a bit unconstant. So yeah, Drew, Porro, and Gray. I mean, like, I was going to give you Gray, but everyone's eulogised him already. So we can move on.
That's all right. I mean, we've kind of touched on both of them. I mean, I would just say I would be in agreement with Dan that I think Porro. I'm not writing him off as a right back. I think as a team, there are issues with the right hand side, especially the right hand side of defence. But also, he's for half a season been like he's completely gassed. He's been playing with two different partners, depending on whether Romero's been there or Dragassin's been there. He's got Johnson in front of him, who, regardless of what you think of Johnson, he's also been gassed. So he hasn't been able to track back as much as I think you would like your right wing to track back. I think across the board, I hate to sound like a broken record, but one thing has compounded another in this squad. And I think, unfortunately, we're just in a bit of a situation that the club has painted itself into a corner because of terrible squad management. But as far as Gray, I hate to compare players to players I've seen in the past, but there was a certain player that used to play for Liverpool that started around 18, 19. And I think he was thrown into the deep end, and he was used as a makeshift right back and as a defender. And I think he ended up having a pretty decent career. And there are shades, very, very lightish grey shades. I don't want to put too much pressure on the kid, but he does look like you can tell the difference between a player that's out there not necessarily going through the motions, but is a coached player that knows how to do his job. And then you see players that have just got flashes of something else, like they just read the game a little bit different. And I think he potentially could be one of those players that just sees things a little different to everybody else. I think you can't fault him. Like Dan said, he's done a fantastic job. But I think when this squad is fully fit and you've got a fully capable defence behind him and you can actually let him flourish, I think midfield is where you would see him shine. And with regards to the whole, the right wing situation, I'd love to be able to push Porro up and I'd love to be able to have Spence on. But now you're putting yourself in a situation where if they both play on the right wing and I know they're both playing at the moment, but if they both go out, you've then got zero cover on the right wing because Archie Gray is playing, or zero cover down that right side. So as much as we'd like to see it, I don't know if it's going to happen.
You want to talk about what was the last banner? Let me go through the chat first. Why are we smiling when we're allowed below average team to have 23 shots and all that? Well, David, I've always celebrated every win. When you've been supporting the team as long as me, and I'm 70 as well. I was 70 this week on Tuesday, right? So you might be a few days or months older than me. I don't know. But I always celebrate every win. You got to, because you'll have more disappointments in football. There's only 3 trophies to win at the end of the season, domestic trophies. And if one team wins one or more of them, then if you've got 20 teams in the league, that's 17 teams that will be disappointed, and the 3 that get relegated, bitterly disappointed. So when we win league games, I'm always going to celebrate the win. I'll still critique.
Can I make a comment about that for David? Can I make a comment? I just think, we're having a very chilled stream here. We're having a good old chat about our club. We all know we're in real bad position, right?
Mm.
But what we're going to do here, sit here and be miserable. We have to have conversation about things, and if we're smiling amongst ourselves, so what? It's bad. Spurs are not doing well this season. We haven't got to that part yet, or don't even know if we will. But we're just having a conversation, and we're having a little smile. So be it.
What was the Adrian? Could you bring up the stats again, quick? Because I think we were talking backstage a little bit before we came on, and you know how it's all well and good putting stats up, but stats do have a tendency of not always telling the whole truth. I mean, I think what was it? The shots we had we had 8 shots, and 5 of those were on target.
They had 22.
They had 22 and 8 were on target. So there is an argument.
Both teams had 5 shots on target, I think, if I remember. I'll come back. I just want to get through the chat, though. Ashley, big up. Thanks for being here, mate.
Can't score without the ball. True.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just making a point, Adrian. You know, those stats could make us look like we're actually a little bit more clinical with shooting, and we're actually pretty good at blocking shots that, for all intents and purposes, weren't going on target anyway. We just had a player get their body in the way. So I'm just not. I don't know if I always 100% do all these stats.
Definitely not. If you looked at the stats against Everton, we had like 60-odd% possession. Right? If you hadn't been at that game at Everton and watched the first half and the second half, you'd have thought, looking at stats, Spurs were by far the better team. There's too many variables with stats, in my opinion.
Right? Yeah. Romano says we're backing off from the Broby, and that's good.
I just think that we'll come on to that next, because now we can get a bit hard when we get onto the transfers.
Can I just say, just my thoughts? I think it was 2 poor teams. Both teams are struggling in the league this season. I just think we edged it because we have better quality. Yeah, in the forward line. And I think Hoffenheim, if you look at the game, were better in the game. You know, the stats show it. They were attacking us a lot. They were the better team, but I just think we just had a bit better quality. And we won the game, and fair enough. Going away against any European team and getting an away win, it's not easy. You know, if you look at the kind of results in Europe this season, not many teams go away and win. So any away win away in Europe is good.
Yeah. I just want to keep going through the chat. All right, Graham. All right, Spud. Good to see you. Nick. All right, Nick. Graham. David, good friend of the show. Yeah, he's at Leighton Orient, though, isn't he, with Josh Keeley, the goalkeeper, though, David, isn't he? I mean, and they're doing well there. Donnelly's got a wicked defence splitting past them. He was brought over from Northern Ireland as a number 9. Wayne Burnett converted him with the all-conquering under-21 team, converted him into a number 10, and he really seems to have found his niche. But, number 10s can be a bit of a luxury, in some teams. I mean, I like that Mount at Chelsea, but he's not doing nothing at Man United. All right, assistant. All right, in a higher. Spud.
Agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, we'll soon come to the end of these. It's just the cohesion on the right-hand side. What is the right-sided, midfielder doing as well?
Is he going to rest? Is he going to put Spence on the right against Leicester and
rest?
You hope so. He must do. He has to. He has to give Porro a rest and give Spence a chance in his right position.
Well, Spence has a knock apparently.
Oh, he does. He does, Drew. Yeah, you're right. He's doubtful, isn't he, for Sunday?
Yeah. But then apparently, according to Troy Deeney, just having a knock should not stop you from playing football. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we were more accurate, weren't we? And 2 of our goals were sheer quality. The Suns one, wicked deflection. That's when you actually start believing.
There you go. Zookeeper Tom, big up, coming in with the
big
stats.
up, Tom.
that we would just criticise.
Ashley.
Brilliant.
Right,
you love it.
through that. So if you want them stats up again, let me get them up. Here we go.
Yeah,
possession.
No, Zookeeper Tom makes a great point. You know, more actual. I mean, I know people hate this whole XG thing, but you know, basically, essentially, that was more quality shots. You know, I know people like to fancy it up, but if this was 1980, we'd be saying we had better shots than they did. So let's go. You know, if you want to go back to fax machines and pages, we had better chances.
Yeah, people that want to persuade, right, are very selective with the stats they bring up. If you're going to bring them up, bring them all up.
Bring them all up.
Right? So, like,
narrative.
Now we knew they were a better team, like 56%, 44, like shots on target 5 each. They had 22 shots, there 8, right? But they only had 5 on target, so 70 of their shots weren't on target. So corners 6, we had 4. Accuracy, our passing was better. Yeah, we got better quality in our team. I know both teams had players that. And the crosses. This shows that the overloads on the left and right. They had 42 out of 10.
Well, this the total crosses thing points to Dan's question earlier, going back to that about why we weren't a little bit more, why we didn't have our foot on the ball and control the midfield more. And I think, I mean, I've had the game on. I've been watching it back just while we've been chatting, just kind of watching it and glancing. And they did come out second half and basically just from their centre backs. Ping balls to either wing and just bomb in crosses. They completely bypassed our midfield for the most part. And then also compound that again, hate to sound like a broken record, compound that with the fact that our 3 midfielders, you know, you got Bentancur just coming back from another injury, concussion. So he's probably a little bit rusty. You got 2 other players that have only probably got 70% in their legs. So I think fatigue also comes into that, not being mentally sharp enough to be able to control games like you would want them to. I think that comes into it. Like, I just don't think, you know, if they were all fresh and they were all fit and firing, I think you'd see him. I mean, I've said in the last few weeks, I don't think we ping the ball around like we used to. That Pochettino squad, we used to just knock the ball about and it would be so quick and it would be on a sixpence. And I think we've gone away from that quite a lot. But, you know, I think that plays a lot into it, a lot of fatigue in these legs.
Definitely. If you're tired and you're fatigued, you know, and you're more like brain fog, I mean, you lose your speed of thought. When you're at pitch level, you see how fast Premier League games are played at, right? Yeah. And it's like split seconds. So when you're more instinctive and you're fresher, you know. You see it when you try to play them little dink balls around them and it wasn't working. We've seen that a lot in games. Clearance is 11. See, now, and then we had 35. You could interpret it, say we defended really well instead of what I thought we defended nervously. Right? But I mean, look, aerial duels won 40% to 60%. So that 40%, is that 4 out of 10? Is that 6 out of 10? Or is it more? Right, fouls 6 each, tackles 142, 62. Yeah, we were defended.
We weren't playing a good team last night. They weren't a good team, Hoffenheim.
No, they weren't.
No.
So we
made them look good.
We're not a good team either at the moment. So.
No,
yeah, we made them look good.
It's one of those things, right? Those clearances, like you say, you could say, oh, well, you know, they basically had us penned back in, and all we did was resolutely defend and actually managed to come away with the win. Well, for weeks, we've been harping on about needing to drop a little bit deeper and soak up pressure. So what do you want, guys? We dropped deeper and we soaked up some pressure and we got away with the win. Now, I know it's inches, you know, we could have conceded another goal and we could have been 3-3.
Or 2.
But we didn't. We won 3-2. We got 3 points and we're qualifying probably for the next round. So I don't know. And this, you know, that's just a general, like, I can't understand where some fans, I mean, that's it. I'm not trying to tell people how to support their team. I just don't understand where some fans come from sometimes. It's like, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
But guys, we haven't played well in Europe all season, have we? We've kind of got through huff and puff. And if we played anybody with a decent striker, Carrierback had chances against us. Benaracos had chances against us. Rangers outplayed us. Roma nearly beat us, or got a late draw. The concern is unless this team picks up some form in the forthcoming weeks, when we do go into those knockout rounds, depending on who we draw, we're going to come up against some better teams with better managers and better players. So it's a bit worrying because
we don't know what our form's going to be going into them games, and we'll have players back.
Yeah, we have to hope they get better. We have to hope. All we can is hope.
And this is an issue we're going to have. Well, we'll come to transfers in a minute because I'm not happy with our transfer activity anyway. I'm sure none of you are as well. But before,
no lack thereof.
Yeah, exactly. Alan, Dragon or Davis, pick one.
Dragerson, I don't know. You mentioned something or talked about Gray and how good he is and how I think Dragerson is a lot of bark and no bite. I don't know. I'm just not super impressed with the way he played. And he look, he's nursing that he's got stitches or something like that on his head from last game. But I mean, he can head the ball. I saw him head the ball. I just think his positional awareness is lacking.
Yeah.
And you see it on the field. He turns around. He's not sure where he's going, and he just runs to where the ball is. I don't know. He just doesn't seem to be the right fit for that. He's just a stand-in. But it makes me concerned because I want more than just a stand-in. I feel like Ben Davies is the perfect stand-in player. He'll give you 6 or 7 every game, which he did. But Dragic, I just don't think we're getting enough out of him. And he's still so young. His ceiling is, to me, just keeps going lower and lower. I feel like we could cash in on him.
But Alan, it's another one of those things, isn't it? It's another player that's kind of regressed in this team.
Yeah.
Like Poro, this is a theme running through the side, I feel. And I think he's young. I'm not writing him off yet. I'm not writing. I would like to see him play under a proper coach, a coach who can set up the defense better, and then I would judge him.
Mm-hmm.
He started brightly. Fans were sort of forgiving when he sort of dropped off a bit, and then now, like you say, he's sort of regressed from that point again. He's good in the air. He's quick. He can put in great blocks and challenges in the opponent area. I've seen him do that. Seen him do it for Romania. Like there's a talent in there. But again, it's like intelligent awareness and positioning. You're a centre back, and it's not the system to me. We've only conceded about 2 or 3 goals with lump balls over the top when people were worried that we were playing 2 on the halfway last season, and this season we've always had 3 or 4 there, and we've dropped back to a mid block in quite a few games.
Yeah,
like we're parked on the halfway line. This is a complete myth, but I get it because there's some out there that don't like Ange as a manager, and so I get that they're going to use any stick they can to beat him because they want him gone. I get that as well. Well, I get that, but it's not my opinion. But I get that. I get where they're coming from. Dragerson, to me, he's on the bench when VDV and Romero are fit. I think even Davis and Gray keep him out of the team at the moment as well, don't they? So,
but you know what, Adrian? If you've got a fully fit 25-man squad, you're training better, you're being pushed better in training, you've got better quality while you're training because you're facing up against Dom Solanke and Richarlison instead of facing up against Lancashire and a kid from the under 18s. As I say, I hate harping on about the injury crisis, but it is a crisis because it's compounding everything. It's not just an isolated, we can't choose this player on this day. For that week in training, they've had to put a cone where that player was. The other player in that position is only playing 60, 70% because he doesn't want to get injured because he's then got nobody to come in and replace him. Look at the bench. We had teenagers and a 20-year-old. People can ignore it as much as they want. People can say it's excuse after excuse. The reason that these players, to your point, Dan, the reason these players don't look like they're progressing is because I don't think the situation allows them to, except in the instance where I think you've got Bergvall shining, Gray shining, Spence shining. And just to touch on Spence a little bit, people have a go at Ange. Why wasn't he used at the beginning of the season? He'd come back from Italy. He was being integrated back into the squad. He was on the bench and got minutes in the first 7 games and then pulled up with a groin strain. That groin strain then kept him out for a month. He was then back on the bench 2 days after he was pulled back from injury. You've then got to put him back in slowly, which he wasn't really, because he's played, other than I think 1 game, pretty much 90 minutes ever since. And now you're having to manage his minutes. He's got a knock. And this is me just talking about the right back position. I could do this to every position in the squad and say, you know what? We're just having to consolidate. We are just having to get through the next game, because I've said it in this stream already. The only thing that's happened at Leicester, the only thing that will have happened since Hoffenheim is that the players have got more minutes in their legs and they're more fatigued mentally. I don't think we have anybody coming back. And with anything, we've got another player out. So, like, I'm just at the point where I've just got to give this squad empathy. And I've just, the one thing I'll say, sorry to just go off topic a little bit, Adrian, but the one thing I will say about Ange, the only thing, Ange genuinely wants to be here and he genuinely wants to make this better. And for all the Ange outers, or for, you know, for anyone, I myself have
I'm an Ange outer. I hold my hand up.
Well,
I don't worry. Say what you want.
All opinions are welcome. All opinions are welcome.
Don't worry. Say it, Drew. Honestly, say it. It's just opinions. It's no problem.
No, I've had a wobble myself, but I look at it and I think to myself, that guy genuinely wants to make this situation better. And I don't know how many coaches are out there that would want to come in and genuinely make the situation better. They might want to come in and get a paycheck. They might want to come in and, you know, play in that stadium. From his heart, that guy wants to make it work. And do you know what? For that point only, I've got to give it till the end of the season and see what happens. And if we completely capitulate by the end of March and we're out of all cups, you know, then
it's like you.
But yeah, sorry, way off topic. Sorry.
No, that's fine, because I want to pick up a bit on that, and on the centre back, what fans have been.
I've got to jump in 5 minutes, guys. Just to say, I've got to jump. I've got to get to work.
If you parachuted the world's best manager into Tottenham tomorrow, he's not going to. So he's going to have the same injury crisis. Going to have to start again, and you can't introduce a new system like Ange tried to switch it around at Everton. In fact, you need a pre-season to do that, because you don't get time on the training ground. I mean, you just don't get the time. But onto there's a bit of a cry out there from some fans saying, "Oh, bring back Ashley Phillips. Shouldn't have let Dorrington go to Edinburgh. Hang about here. Just hang about and slow down a second, guys. You know, if you think that way, you bring Ashley Phillips back from Stoke, who's doing really well there, right? And he plays. VDD and that'll fit and all that. And Ashley Phillips is sitting on the bench for the rest of the season and he's not developing. Deal with the crisis you've got here best you can. The best way to get over that, if it's a centre-back issue, any other position issue, is you go, if you can't get the players that are the right fit in the transfer window that don't fit the profile, you don't panic buy, but we still want people brought in. But then what you do is you get loan players in, or you loan to buy a player, you get them in, because then you haven't panicked buy, you haven't wasted the money. In fact, you might have more money left, more in the summer, to go and get done what you need to be done. But it's still no excuse for what we've done so far, in my opinion. But, yeah, moving on to these three. Dan, Bergvall, Maddison, Brentford, pick one.
Maddison was a standout player for me yesterday. He was.
I disagree, but carry on.
If you look at all his stats, he was good. He was involved. He scored. He's not a defensive at all type player, Maddison. He needs to be up that pitch, playing behind the striker in the number 10. That's where he works. Give him the ball, he will make things happen. His stats are good across the season. Ange hasn't been playing him recently, which I disagree with. Maddison, we need to be playing a team around Maddison. He needs to be the main guy. For me, this is my opinion.
His numbers are good. His numbers are very good.
His numbers are good. If you look at his stats, he performed well. He's not the sort of guy who's going to get dirty in defence. That's just not him. He needs to be in those forward positions, playing the through balls in between the lines with whoever's up front. And for me, he was good yesterday, and we need to see him in the team every week.
Alan, pick one.
But
Go ahead, Dan.
sorry, I've got to jump, guys. But
Right, thanks for coming on, Dan.
But yeah, it's been great streaming with you guys. Lovely to meet you, Drew. Nice to see you again, Alan. And Adrian,
Nice to see you, Dan.
Thank you for the invite. Big up to everybody in the chat. And look, let's hope we get a win at the weekend against Leicester. We desperately need the victory. And look, we're all eyes on that game.
And you can find Dan here, guys, in the chat. So get over there and subscribe to his channel. Yeah, he's a fledgling channel as well, like us, trying to get going. So he does a lot of work.
Big up, Dan. It was great to chat to you, mate.
Yeah, lovely. Great, guys. Enjoy the rest of the stream and take care. See you all soon.
Bye-bye. Thanks for coming on.
Okay, mate.
Bye-bye.
Back to...
I'll take Bentancur. He was pretty anonymous to me. I don't have much to say about him. I don't think he did I didn't see him do anything at all, really. Again, I was paying attention more to Porro. I was watching Sonny, and I was watching Madison, but I wasn't really watching Bentancur. But I didn't see him have much of an impact on the game. Did you guys tell me if I'm wrong?
I thought it was superb.
Oh,
I really did. No, but that happens when you're concentrating on others. I deliberately watch players in some games and miss other things that are going on. Drew, your take on you can pick Bentancur or Bergvall, it doesn't matter.
I mean, I'm not trying to push my American brother under the bus at all, but I happen to think Bentancur was one of the better players as well. But again, when you're watching one player, when you're watching one player, you absolutely can miss others. So this is, just it's all love. But yeah, of the three, I mean, I thought, to be honest with you, when they were allowed to play, I thought all three of them were actually pretty good. Bergvall, or Berryvall, however you choose to say it, he's impressing me week on week. I think they all had a part to play in the first half. They all did pretty good. Second half, I think they all dropped off because I don't think they were allowed to get in the game. Like we touched on, Hoffenheim were playing all the way out to the wings and then just dropping balls into the box. So I don't really think they had a chance to impact the game very much. Now, does that suggest, should they have impacted the game a little more? I would have liked maybe one of them to get their foot on it a little more, but they were being pulled and pushed. And you've got to appreciate this is an away game, Europa League. Again, broken record. They're tired. I'm sure Hoffenheim's coach has basically told that Hoffenheim team at halftime, they are there for the taking. Go and batter them. So I can't be too rough on the boys. They did what they could. That midfield did they did all right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, this team, even whether you've got combinations of midfield threes or back fours, and even the forwards, this is something they need to, they need to learn how to game manage much better than we have done in games. We've dug in. I mean, this team's got. I mean, like because it's gassed, it's dug in well at times, But I've never known such a horrific injury list at Spurs in all my years of supporting this club. We'll move on to these before we get the transfer window. Right. Son, Richardson, and Kulu. Alan, pick one.
Richarlison, I think, showed that he was really rusty. He with regards to Richarlison in general, Richarlison's kind of like a magnet. You could love him or hate him, but stuff happens when he's on the field. But I don't think he did much. I was really happy when he got subbed off for Mikey Moore. he looks rusty. Look, he hasn't started. When was the last time he started? Did he start? He didn't start at Everton, didn't he came on in Everton.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he got the move to Everton from Watford because he played well at Watford, and he sort of played on the left and as a striker and sort of. And you did see him drift across?
No, he's talking about the last time he started for.
I was talking about the last time he started.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I don't think he started against Everton, if I remember correctly. I think he came on.
Bench, I think.
Yeah, he came off the bench.
Yeah.
So he's just looked rusty because he hasn't been playing much. I'm wondering if he is 100% or if he's pushing himself to play just to get time in because we need him. We need warm bodies, as many as we can get. But I just don't think he had a very good game. He didn't really affect much for me.
No, I agree. Actually, he's not.
He's had a horrible season, right? He's had. He played opening game of the season. He played 1 minute at Leicester. He played 24 minutes at Everton, and this is way back in August. Then he had an injury and was out for 5 games. Then he played 9 minutes, 28 minutes, and 26 minutes. Then he was out from the 10th of November all the way through to the 4th of January. Then played 12 minutes at Arsenal and 45 minutes at Everton. So that's why he looks rusty, because I'm not good at math, but all in all, he's played maybe 157 minutes, 160 minutes. So,
unless he smashes
and this is the guy that was supposed to back up Solanke.
Yeah. Unless he smashes it second half season. Ange didn't throw him on the bus in his interview. He said, look, went through a good period last season, scored goals. Yeah, well, it weren't a long enough period, though, was it? So, I mean,
purple bench.
I'd be looking to get rid of him at the end of this season, unless he really smashes it and shows us something we haven't seen before. So, do you want Kulu or Son, Drew?
Go on, I'll take Sonny. Couple of goals. He did all right. Again, he's another one. You could tell when he scored that second goal. I don't even think he wanted to celebrate. I think he just wanted to go and sit down. He just kind of jogged
Is that when
off.
he shushed?
But I think that might have been I don't know. It might have been the first one. I thought the second one, he was just kind of head down, just like, oh, get me to the bench. But again, another one that's got so many minutes in his legs at the moment. And I know everyone wants to compare Sonny to Salah, and I get it in terms of, they're only a month apart. They're both 32. If you actually go back and look, I think Sonny's career started a good 2-3 years before Salah. I think he was worth a good 3 or 4 million before Salah was worth about 150,000. So he's got, even though they've got similar minutes in their legs, I think it's only about 2,000 minute difference over the entire career. Sonny has had those minutes progressively over longer. Plus, he's played, I think it's about 38 more European games, international games. And obviously him flying, probably half of those games are in South Korea. So the 14-hour flight back and forth compared to 4 hours to Egypt. I know I'm getting into, stats and people are probably bored of hearing me, but there's a reason why they're not exactly the same player. And then also genetics play a part. Son's thicker than Salah. Salah's easily a couple of stone lighter. And that plays a part. So, while I understand the comparison, I think it's a little bit unfair. I think Sonny is doing what he can at the moment. I think he was carrying that injury, as you mentioned, Adrian, earlier. Carried that hernia. I don't think he was right beginning of this season. I think he's played more minutes than he should have done. Same old story. I think he's doing what he can. I think his numbers aren't bad. I think somebody put a stat up earlier, he's the first player, or he's scored 10 plus goals in 8 or 9 seasons in a row or something. He's 32. I just got to give him a break. I think he did all right. Also, big up harmless potatoes. Salah is also playing in a team that wins every week. surrounded by arguably slightly more competent players.
I'm pleased. I'm so pleased. Go on, carry on.
Well, no, he's just, Son has been used at Spurs more than he should have done in games that he didn't need to be played in, and now we're seeing the consequence of that. There are times when we should have put teams to bed, and we didn't. So he's played 90 minutes when he should have only played 70. We were guilty of doing the same thing with Kane. We're guilty of doing that with all of our good players. We flog them like horses, or we just aren't clinical enough and we aren't able to rest them when we should, or we get insurmountable injury crises, which means we can't rest them when we should. So, again, compounding. It's one of the welcome to top.
I'm so pleased for Sonny. I mean, he's got 2 goals, and he's always been a streaky player. He scores goals in clutches and then doesn't score. He's not like an every other game goal scorer like a Kane or something like that. Right? Or Kane got 2 in every 3 games, and we're coming up to the Leicester game, and he's scored about 10 against them before now anyway, So I'm pleased for him on that. But it just leaves Kulu really. I'll take Kulu then. I mean, yeah, he's been our best player this season. He's working his socks off. You see him when he tries to make them bursting runs, and there's just nothing in the tank. But it's a good job. He still manages to hold on the ball. His hold up is still very good. So, and that has helped us as well. So, the fear is we'll get more injuries if we keep overplaying these players. And there's nothing we can do. We're not down to the bare bones. We're down to the bone marrow. And there's nothing we can do. We just got to keep trying to play through it. The fear is with the league position is when you start losing a few games and dropping down the table, you can get into a rut. And even if you've got a lot of quality in your squad, and we know we're a better team, and we know we should be in a better position we are when everyone's fit and going, even with inconsistent performances, we know we're better. But sometimes you can get in a rut with quality players, and it's very hard to get out of it. It can be very hard to get out of it. And let's hope that we can just get the win at Leicester. That'll do us. That'll put good heart going into Old on Thursday. And then we got Liverpool. No, we got Brentford, I think, first at home, and then Liverpool win. So we'll see. Yeah, Kulu star this year. He's just been a star. What can you say? You couldn't want more effort, and maybe he's captain of Sweden. Perhaps they should give him the captain's armband. Right, let's move on to this because I'm not happy. I'm sure you lot are not happy. Transfer, guys. Right, the transfer is Monday the 3rd of February at 2300 UK GMT. It is now the 24th. We've got 10 days. 10 days left, a week and a half. I mean, what the hell are our transfer team doing? I mean, I'm not saying Lange is coming for a lot of criticism. Let's be fair, all right? He hasn't been at a club that long. You would all agree that Werner's a miss. Odegaard, we don't know if he's going to be a hit or a miss. Yang Min Hook, we don't know if he's going to be a hit or a miss. Solanke's been a hit. To me, Gray's been a hit. Bergval's been a hit already. He's a hit to me anyway. Have we brought anyone else in at that time? Just those 6. So 2 we don't know. 3 have been good. Werner's been crap, right? In my opinion, Werner's just not good enough. He's got no confidence. And he obviously hasn't got that aggressive mentality because he looks like someone and he's mothering all the time. He's just no confidence at all. But this window, right? Our recruitment team must number, I reckon at number 7. I could name them, but I'm not going to. You got, well, no, let's name them. So you'd have, at the very top, if he's getting very involved, you'd have Levy. Then you'd have Scott Munn, who's the chief football officer. Then you'd have Johan Lang. That's 3. You'd have Andrews 4. You'd have Rob McKenzie, who's chief scout. You'd have Max Leggett, who we got from Bayern Munich, who's chief first team scout. Because if you get scouts that scout lower leagues for youngsters as well. And then you've got Hemant Tisio, who we got at Man United, who's head of strategy. I mean, I think that's 7. And yet we find ourselves, 3/4 away through the transfer window virtually, or 2/3 of the way. We brought in Kinski, good deal to me hit as well. So give Langer that one as well. And yet it's always the same. We always seem to leave our business to the last moment. Alan?
I don't know why we do it. I was reading something about Levy, actually, about there's like a ranking for profitability for the clubs, and because Spurs haven't had Champions League football since 2022-2023, we've dropped down in that rating. They're saying that that potentially that could affect transfer budget because we haven't been concentrating on our first team, and we haven't been putting in the amount of money that we need to make sure that we get that fourth place that Levy covets and getting that Champions League money. So I'm wondering if that's at all factoring in with the fact that we haven't brought in players. If Levy is saying, look, you just make it through this window and I'll back you in the summer. I mean, but we haven't even heard that. We get linked every day. We're linked with someone that it was Brobby. And again, why that's a panic buy, in my opinion. His numbers just aren't good enough. We shouldn't be panic buying, but at the same time, I feel like our higher ups should have better options for us in the window. You know, what are they doing scouting? What are they doing with their time? I just don't get it. What's up, Johnny?
Drew, your comments on a lack of activity?
Do you know what? Initially, I was just thinking this is typical Tottenham. And then I watched a show last night, and I don't claim to be the first to speak any of the information that I'm about to speak. I have to give a big shout out to Jason McGovern. But he laid it out pretty eloquently, and subsequently I've kind of changed my opinion a little bit. It's still typical Spurs, but it's less a typical Spurs, oh, we just won't spend money. And it's more a typical Spurs, we haven't managed our squad properly in the last 4 or 5 years. And a typical example, or a prime example of that, I should say, is trying to loan out Matt Doherty when we couldn't loan any more players and having to cancel his contract. And then thinking, you know, the likes of Eric Dyer and Ben Davies were English and would make up English quota when they wouldn't. That's the kind of level of incompetence that we've been dealing with. So I would just bring everybody's attention to registration of players and what a team or a club can actually do at this point. Because if you're thinking about the European or the Europa League, at this point, after you've qualified for the knockout rounds, you can only make 3 changes to that squad. Yeah. Now, if we've already got Kinski and we've already got Spence that we'd like to put in that squad, and you go ahead and you put those 2 in that squad, there's only 1 more player that you can rotate in and out. So everyone can say, okay, I want to get rid of Werner. I want to get rid. If you buy any more than 2 players, you can only now register 1 player in that European squad. And then we get to the Premier League squad, which we've got 17 non-homegrown, non-trained players, of which Reguilon is one of them, which is the person that you would probably want to get rid of. But you've got to unregister him, then sell him probably before. You don't have to sell him before you bring somebody in, because
he's not in the Europa League squad anyway, is he?
Well, no, but this is just the Premier League squad, right? Because we've still got a situation there, right? Because everyone wants to go. Everyone says, "Oh, well, we need a forward, ideally maybe a winger, and we need a left back, and we need a centre back." So if you want 4 players to bring into the Premier League squad, You've got to get rid of Reguilon, and then you've got to deregister 3 other first-team players. Well, who are you going to deregister?
Poch had the same problem. Do you remember when he had to leave one fight out the European squad?
Right. Who do you deregister? All right. So you're going to say, well, because
I do remember that.
Solanke's injured for 6 weeks, I'm going to deregister him for the rest of the Premier League season so I can bring in another striker. All right, well, Basuma's not playing very well. So you're going to deregister somebody that earns £70,000 a week, and you're not even going to have him sit on the bench. He's going to sit at home and watch football so that you can bring in somebody else who might make the squad better. I feel like this is very much a situation where we're now trying to close the proverbial gate after the horse has bolted. We needed help 5-6 weeks ago. We're at the point now where you're going to start to get players funnel back. So even if you did go out and buy the centre back that we think we need, and we got rid of Reggie, you brought the centre back in. That centre back has still got to integrate into the team. You're hoping he's going to hit the ground running, be able to play this exact system, and he's going to be an 8 or 9 out of 10 every week. Bear in mind, you've got Romero and Van de Ven coming back. So you're hoping that you buy a centre-back that hits the ground running, but then you're also hoping that your 2 first-team centre-backs come back. You're also hoping that that centre-back that you just bought is willing to now sit on the bench and watch those 2 play football while he's also good enough to cover them, but you're hoping they don't get injured again, but you're banking on them maybe getting injured again, which is why you buy another centre-back. Now, I'm really sorry that sounded all convoluted and horrible, but this is the situation we found ourselves in. And at the moment, in January, I just don't know that there's much you can do about it. Because the only other thing you can do is bring in under 21 players, which the fans are going to go nuts if we go and spend money on 2 more under 21s. You can bring under 21s in as many as you like, but they're not the experience we need to bring ourselves out of this situation. So, from this point of view, now that I'm looking at it from, I was looking at it from 30 feet and thinking, oh, well, this is just bloody Tottenham and we don't spend money. Now I'm kind of looking at it from 300 feet and I'm like, this is a mess. I don't know how you can, I don't know what we do. Because even those low market rules,
I did a long post. Yeah. I did a long post in the Facebook group, and I did it in the WhatsApp groups about this, and I got a few amusing replies. By the time I read this, we'll have played the game, because it was quite long, right? I can do a lot longer ones, right? So yeah. And my take is, when you look at the January transfer window, right, the 30 days. It's such and maybe they should extend the window anyway in January. Why not? You know what I mean? Another couple of weeks or something, right? In future, but that's for the future. But you've got clubs that are involved in relegation battles, home and abroad, clubs that are involved in competitions where they might have a chance to win a domestic competition in the leagues, right? Mm-hmm. You've got clubs that are involved in the Champions League and the Europa League and all that, and they're not going to get rid of their players while they're involved in these competitions, even if they need the money, right? They're earning money while they're in the competitions. Clubs being going to be relegated are never getting rid of their players either. So unless you find a team that's got surplus players, got free players in a position that you want to buy, then you're not going to get a deal done. What you can do, though, and I like what Jason McGovern has to say. He talks so much sense, I've met him a couple of times. And what you can do is what I expected. I thought this window we would get another 3 in. I didn't expect Kinski, to be honest. I thought we'd get 3 in, we'd buy 1, and then what we'd do to avoid, and I think you've alluded rightly there, Drew, about getting young players in, because young players have got time on their side, whether they're excluded from a Europa League group or not, the squad or not. And then I thought we'll go for because we're restricted to 23 in that league, because we haven't got 4 academy trained players that have been registered for 3 years out of the 8 homegrown. You can have as many on the B list as you want that have been with the academy for 2 years. You can have as many, and that squad doesn't have to be announced till 24 hours. It's not a set in stone squad like Reggie, it's not a set in stone squad that you have to announce. You can change it, do what you like with that squad. 24 hours before a game, you've got to declare your B list, which is academy players that have been registered for 2 years with the club. So we haven't got 4 that have been registered for 3 years. That's why we've penalised 2 European players. Because, as like you said, rightly in the Premier League, it's 8 homegrown, 7 foreign.
Well, there's a solution to that, Adrian, but nobody would want it, because the solution would be to bring back Skip, Winks, Marcus Edwards potentially,
and
Madueke.
Madueke.
You're not going to get Madueke from Chelsea, just like you're not going to get Harry Kane back from Bayern Munich. So there's possibilities out there, but who wants Winks back?
Right. So what I expect, like we've been linked now with Ansu Fati of Barcelona. Got bundles of skill, the kid. He's had quite a few injury problems for his age. We've been linked for other players like that. So what I'd expect, if we were going to buy one player now, which we possibly could, but I think the way you get round this, and it might be a younger player like Thomas Christensen, centre back or something like that, is that you do loan deals or you do loan to buy deals, because then if at the end of the season, because you don't want to bloat the squad and be trapped with too many centre backs at the end of the season, like you alluded to, or in any position. We had all that. That's why we had 16 players, right? Even though most players, right? You don't want to fall into that trap again. So if you get loans to buy and the player comes in and he doesn't quite fit the profile you want, you shouldn't panic buy. Go out and get a Joe.
No, but the problem is, Adrian, regardless of whether you're buying somebody, loaning them, or they're a free agent, you've still got the registration issue. You say loan a couple of players with an option, you've still only got Reggie as the player that you can deregister in the Premier League to bring somebody in. Otherwise, who else are you going to deregister? Give me a player name.
Werner straight away.
You can't deregister Werner, because if you send him back, you're still penalised and you have to pay his wages.
No.
There's no getting out of that.
You keep him as an impact sub in a Premier League, but you deregister him for the Europa League squad. You take him out of that. Foyt still played league games. He got sent off, didn't he? All that.
But you've already got. Hang on, you've already got Fraser Foster coming out for Kinski. And you've got Odegaard probably coming out for Spence. So you deregister Werner. If you're going to deregister Werner, you really need to get rid of him entirely. You're not just going to deregister him from the Europa League squad, because if you bring somebody in, you've then got to deregister him from the Premier League squad to bring that player in to register him for the Premier League squad.
There's another player won't be fit till mid-February, and that's Odegaard. Right, so he would come out of the squad because he was fit. He comes out of the Europa League squad, but he's under 21, so you don't even have to register him for Premier League anyway. He doesn't count towards those 17. This is why it's such a quagmire. Yeah, but he hasn't been. It's the reason that Gray and Bergvall can't go on the B list. It's because they were signings brought into the club, but they hadn't been with the academy for 2 years, so they can't go on the B list. Right. Odegaard's only just come in. He can't go on the B list.
Right.
Can't go on the B list. Right. So now, these rules they should be simpler, shouldn't they, guys? And it's you in the chat.
Basically, like harmless potato. We essentially can only get one more player unless we start deregistering players that we don't want to deregister. And as I say, Jason McGovern puts this probably better than I'm explaining it. If you do Last Word on Spurs last night,
I watched that show.
Essentially, we are in a situation where we're screwed because the squad planning was not done well enough. It was not looked after, and now we're in this. Well, we need homegrown, but we can't register this guy, and we've got to register that guy. You can only make 3 changes here. If you make any changes there, like it's a complete, like when one door opens, a door shuts.
It
like
was an inherited problem.
It's
and I
really
think
complicated.
It was an inherited problem. They knew it.
Yeah.
Because they could have kept the homegrown there. If you'd kept Skip and Winks, that would have solved the solution, because we only got Austin and Whiteman, right? And Niall John was 3 years, but they let him go from the academy. He was another one who had done his 3 years. So there would have been enough. But Ange probably thought, well, then we're keeping Skip and Winks players I don't want. All right, it would allow him another 2 in the Europa League squad. So, and he wanted to get other players in. This is why Bergvall and Gray come in. Well, I'd take Bergvall and Gray over Skip and Winks every day of the week, right? That's what I think most fans would, right? So I think Odebert will be left out. But we'll see. If we get them in, but like you said, if you bring a young player in and you say, well, look, we're bringing you in, you're 23 times on your side. I mean, Christensen's 23 as a centre-back. Like, if you did that, the question is whether you promise him a spot in the Europa League squad or not, or just say, look, we brought you in, great future. You give them all the Spurs flannel. We fooled so many players that have come to this club before with the Spurs flannel, right? And so it works out. I still think.
Yeah, I guess basically, I'm trying to think of so the way that you would do it, right? The way to get away with it, or the way to make this work for a player to be able to be bought in. To be able to, let's all assume that for the Europa League, you want to put Kinski in the squad and you want to put Spence in the squad. Let's just assume those are 2 of 3 spots. So now you've got 1 spot that you can rotate a player in and out of, right? So we've got rid of Odebert for Spence. We got rid of Forster for Kinski. So now we're going to bring a player in. We want them to be able to play in the Europa League and the Premier League to make an impact for us. So you can buy 1 player and you can put them in the Europa League squad. You could deregister Reggie and you could register them in the Premier League squad, right? That would basically be the only business that you can do, because the next player you bring in, you've got to either be under 21 so that you can go into the Premier League squad, or you've got to deregister one of the 17 non-homegrown, non-EU, whatever it is, players to be able to then bring another person in. And by the way, that second player still cannot be in the Europa League squad because you've already made 3 changes.
Yeah.
So that's as simple as I can make it kind of sound.
Yeah, I just think that I think Ange and the staff knew that. And with the clear out, even though a lot of them were bench players and weren't regular players, with getting all those out on loan, Gil, Lascelles are out there, Højbjerg's out there. Those 3 haven't been quite sold off yet because those clubs were near an FFP and they're on loans to buy at the end of this season, sort of thing. And we wanted to get rid of so many players out there, So I think Ange just thought he was going to rip it. He's ripped it up everywhere he's been. I mean, Poch in 5.5 seasons, he got rid of 36 players. 36 players through this club, right? And Ange has been the same. So I don't know. I mean, if he got a couple of players in that he wanted, who knows? He might say, Basuma, you're not in the Europa League squad.
But then if he wasn't in the Europa... Yeah, I mean, whichever way you slice it, whichever player comes out...
You bring a striker in. You bring a striker in as well. You could say, Richie, you're not in your Europa League squad, Richarlison, because we want you to prove your fitness in the league. We don't want you to hurt yourself. Give him some flannel, right, or whatever. You could take Richarlison out of the squad. There is a little bit of tweak, but
right.
You could take Richarlison out. Well.
You could take Richarlison out of the Europa League squad and say to a striker, yeah, you can come in and do a job for us in the Europa League, but that player still can't be registered in the Premier League. And hope God we don't, if we go out at the first knockout stage, that striker then sits on the bench and can't play any games in the Premier League.
Well, it has to be a minimum of 8 homegrown. You can have more. You could have 12, 15 homegrown and less foreign players. You can do it that way. I mean, I think.
All right, give me a homegrown striker.
What for us?
Yeah.
Well, that's why you got rumours they were looking at on a loan deal again. Evan Ferguson
For Brobbey. Oh,
for Brighton. Not Brobbey's foreign, like, and we don't want him. Let's be fair. If Ajax offer you a player, that's a bad sign anyway, isn't it? You know, Brad offer you a player. Let's be fair about it. So Evan Ferguson, I mean, because we don't know what wages he's on. If he's not getting game time, his form's dipped. You know, he was going to be the new £100 million player, wasn't he, the other season, right?
Well, so hang on. So you're bringing in. All right, let's just. You're bringing in Evan Ferguson.
That's just a rumor, though. You know, it's probably BS.
Well, no. I'm just trying to make the math work because, like I said, you know, I know, you know, I don't want to. I've just tried, so sort of gone over, tried to explain it. I don't think you say you drop Reggie from the Europa League, but you keep him in the Premier League, which means you're still maxed out with your numbers in the Premier League. So you've got to convince a striker, regardless of whether he's homegrown, to come in just to play a game in the Europa League and hope we qualify for the next game. Because otherwise, you've got to deregister a player from the Premier League squad. Do you know what I mean? There's so many moving parts to it. Or you bring in under 21, which Evan Ferguson, I mean, Evan Ferguson might work if he's under 21. That might be the way it works. But then, you know, you're bringing in somebody that's slightly injury prone and everyone's going to say, is he really what we need right now? Because we all want experience and we want a 28-year-old to come in and drag us all over the line. So I don't know. It's crazy.
You can bring in homegrown. The two goalkeepers look like they've got to stay. If you bring in homegrown, then you can drop Forster out there. Because you've got to keep Whiteman and Austin simply because they've done the 3 years in the academy. You cannot. Yeah. So Forster he's going at the end of the season anyway, right? And so
Evan Ferguson doesn't even count as homegrown anyway. Ed M, big up in the chat. He's corrected it. There's just so much going on with it. I just don't know how you make it work. And this is why I think we haven't made it work. This is why we haven't bought anyone.
8 homegrown, and we've got our homegrown at the moment, right? Let's go through them. You've got Forster, Whiteman, and Austin. That's 3. You got Grays 4. Then you got Johnson 5, Solanke 6, Madison 7, Mikey Moore 8, Lancashire 9. Although they're on the B list, I think you can put B list players on your homegrown list, but once they're on there, you can't reverse it. Moving back again.
Right.
So we've got 9 homegrown there. Mikey Moore would have done the 3 years at the academy because he's coming at the squad because he was playing for the under 16s. He's only 17 now. What am I talking about? What am I talking about now? Talking rubbish, right? Yeah. So no, he wouldn't count.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's so hard.
To drop out the foreign players. Let's see who can we actually drop. You could drop out Odegaard because you can rightly say.
Adrian? Are you talking specifically for Europa League or Premier League?
I'm talking
because this is the problem, right? You can fix the puzzle individually. Like you could look at the Europa League squad and you say, okay, well, I'll take out 2.
Can't go on the B list because he's a player that bought in and he hasn't been 2 years with the academy. So he's like Graham Bergvall. He cannot go on the B list, so he's classed as a foreign player. I assume he was in the Europa League squad, so you could take him out. You could take Richarlison out. That's 2.
Right.
Who else in their foreign contingent could you take out? If I had the squad up here, we could go through this. I'm looking for I think I deleted the squad.
Take Basuma out, I guess.
Yeah, that would be.
So this is Europa League, right? So you're taking out who? Richarlison, Basuma, and who?
Odegaard.
And you're putting in
Spence.
Right. Kinski. Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And player that we sign.
Yeah.
Right.
And it looks like it's going to be a striker.
So now player that we sign, this guy, he's now in the Europa League squad. Yay, I'm going to score goals. I'm going to win the cup for Tottenham. But this guy can now only go in the spot that we deregister Reguilon from, or he has to be under 21 and can bypass and go into the Premier League squad. Okay? So at that point, let's just say that person fits into one of those two categories. At that point now, any other player that you bring in has either got to be under 21, has either got to be previously trained by the club, or you've got to start deregistering players that you don't want to deregister. So when you fix a problem in one league, the Europa League, you create a problem in the Premier League squad. And when you fix the Premier League squad, you create a problem in the Europa League squad.
And
so this is why, and I'm sorry, chat, I hate to bore you because I feel like I'm just going over the same stuff.
No, because they're valid points. I mean, you could, it might be a bit cruel because we don't know if he's staying at the club or not at the end of the season. It wouldn't matter if he got the ump. You could take Davies out. But I'm not sure if Davies... It's weird because with them Europa League rules, after a couple of years or whatever, because for Davies and actually Eric Dyer were classed as foreign players in our squads in the past. But I think...
Dyer.
I think after a few years, that rule changes for him. So I'm not sure with Davies if he's still classed as a foreign player or whether he's now classed as a homegrown. In the Premier League, he's classed as homegrown. See, this is where the rules are different. So I hope we're not boring you, viewers out there. But yeah, interesting. Right, we'll come back to it then. Yeah. So
yeah,
just on that, I mean, let's look at a couple of players we've been linked to, because look, any players we're linked with now in the media, guys, and those of you viewing us and listening to us, it's unlikely. We either have these loan deals ready to sign off now. They've come up too late. Unless you hear a concrete rumour that we're now talking to agents, agreed terms with the player or something like that, that's different. But anything other they throw out there in the media now in these last 10 days, most of it's going to be, like most of it has been, utter bullshit, basically. So where were we? Let me scroll down. Right, hang on. Let's go down. Where? Yeah, further down. Yeah, so we're not going to be affected by this rule anyway. 6 loans allowed, a maximum foreign and all that, because we ain't bringing in that many players. But like you say, I mean, these are all decent players. Tomorrow's homegrown.
Didn't Douglas Luiz already go to a different team?
He may well have done. Done. Or maybe on the verge of signing for another team. Yeah. So you're fine with these. I think there's going to be a lot of movement in the last week, and I think a lot of it will be loans and loans to buy that clubs do, and I like that. Try before you buy. I like that. And if it means we have to take a player in that doesn't quite fit a profile, it means you don't panic buy. You bring someone in who can do a job, who's not ideal, but it's better than doing nothing. It's better than doing nothing, because otherwise you've got to do nothing, and that's not an alternative as far as I'm concerned. And then here, Ryan Cherky at Lyon, good player. Henko, I like him at Feyenoord. Centre back, can play left back. Ansu Fati, obviously, Barcelona want to offer his wages off the book as well. The kid's on a fortune, about £200 a week or something from Barca. And we were linked with Buonanotte, who's on loan at Leicester, funnily enough. But see, these stories come up about players when you're about to play their team that they're with, don't they, as well? Because Buonanotte's with Leicester. Those could be utter bullshit as well. The Ansu Fati has got legs, though. I believe that has got legs. And then you've got...
I think Ansu Fati is 2024's version of Leandro Damião. I feel like we were linked with that guy until we will continue to be linked with that guy until I'm 6 feet under, and it's the same with Facet. But like, I tell you what, in a perfect world, I feel like we need something up front that is going to energize and give us just a little bit of a different dynamic. I honestly feel like if we can get Vicario back, you got Vicario and Kinski. I think they're perfect foil for one another. I don't think you need to rock that boat by bringing in anything else. I think you've got Porro, and this is ideal world scenario. Everybody coming back, not picking up any more injuries. You got Porro and Spence on the right. You've got Romero, Van der Ven, Dragusin, Davis covering the middle. You've got Udogie on the left. Ideally, you would like to probably think that somebody will bring in left-sided centre-back / left back. That would be perfect, but I don't think it's needed in this window. In an ideal world, I would like Mateus Cunha from Wolves, simply because at this moment in time, he's a player, and I know I'm going to get pelters. It will never happen, and I get it. But a player like that can play right wing, can play centre forward, can play left wing, can play in the 10 pocket, coming in from the left. So you've basically got a new dynamic all the way across the front line, which is what we've called for, because everyone thinks Brennan Johnson's not quite enough, Solanke needs help and Richarlison's not quite enough, Sonny needs help and Werner's not quite enough. Cunha can play all of those roles really, really well, and he can play the 10 coming in from the left, which helps out Maddison and Kulusevski. Why, as a club, we're not looking at that situation? We're not looking at the value of the guy because he's only 25. Wolves are lower than us. He's only got 18 months left on his contract. You got them lot up the road sniffing around, but they've got no money, and we've got money, apparently. I don't know why that isn't something, because that solves a problem in both squads, because if you replace Odegaard and you replace Forster in the Europa League squad with Spence and Kinski, you've got one more thing that you can do. You can deregister Werner and you can put Cunha in that squad. If Werner gets his nose put out of joint, it doesn't matter because he's going in the summer anyway, and he can still play in the Premier League squad if you absolutely need him to. You can also deregister Reggie and you can put Cunha in that squad. And if that's the only bit of business that you can do, that to me at least shows that you're trying to do something up front that is a little bit different, that's going to maybe get you a couple more goals. And that is, again, on the proviso that all of your backline come back, your goalkeeper comes back, and you start being a little bit solid for the second half of the season. But that would be, something. That would be something that I would consider looking at doing. And if they're not looking at that, my mind is blown.
Well, they've looked at that. Buemo was mentioned at Brentford, and like you had, like I say, Evan Ferguson was mentioned, and Delap was mentioned at Ipswich. The thing is, those teams are down the bottom half of the table in relegation. There's no way Wolves would let Cunha go. If it was a summer signing, fine, not letting it go. And another thing, I've heard people say to me, get these players that have got 6 months left on their contract, they're free in the summer and all that. Okay, I did the post on this. If you're Jonathan David, whether fans like him or not, I'm like that on him, right? If you're Jonathan David and say your value is, just say 25, 30 million, if he had a 5-year contract, right?
I'll be right back.
It's not a large amount of money for a striker who scores goals, whether you think he's good enough or not.
Right.
And now he could sign a pre-contract now with Spurs, right? But why would you? I did this. If I was Jonathan David, I'm not signing for no one in January.
Right.
I'm waiting till the summer when my contract runs out. Because if I'm valued at 25 million and someone wants me on the cheap, I want a 10, 15 million pound signing on fee, and then I want 200 grand a week. No one's going to give that to him in January. Because no one's going to pay Lille a transfer fee and that money on top.
Well, this is why I feel like Cunha. This is why I feel like
Yeah.
something like Cunha is perfect, because he's got 18 months left, so the ball's not quite in his court yet. It is in terms of not signing for Wolves, but it means that Wolves are basically at this point just going to start losing money on their investment.
Yeah,
so
they
this
are.
is where Spurs need to be clever and say, do you know what? Like, he could go for free.
I get it.
18 months, he's not signing a contract. We'll give you 45 million, 50 million. We'll give you 30 now, because we can afford to do that. We can amortize it over the next 5 years. So essentially, we've only got 10 million a year on the books.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even a finance guy, and even though I know I could do that.
Wolves have to weigh that up. I know you look at Wolves.
Right.
If we let Cunha go now and we got relegated, would it have been such a good deal for us? Because if that meant they got relegated, then how much they lose in Premier League revenue?
I mean, they get parachute payments, 120, 150 million. So I feel like they'd be all right.
Yeah,
I mean, I know. I get what I'm being flippant. I get what you're saying.
No,
They're not going to let him go lightly.
This is why, I mean, when people say marquee signings, well, where are these marquee signings nowadays? You know, the days of Messi, Ronaldo, and the Swedish Abramovich, and the Polish striker that scored all them goals, forget his name now. I'm sure the chat will remind me. Where are all these marquee signings out there? Kane was probably the last marquee transfer. I mean, that Carvat, Sorellia, wherever he ends up, he's sort of a marquee sign. He's rated about the sixth best winger in the world. I don't know who the top 5 are, but so no, it's good. I mean, like, good debate. Let's preview Leicester quickly, like, okay. Especially now we know players need a rest.
Right.
Head-to-head record against Leicester. Previous meetings: 121 Spurs wins, 61 draws, 22 Leicester wins. What have I got 38 after this for? What have I not done? Oh, 121. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, 121 meetings, Spurs 61 wins, draws 22, Leicester 38 wins, isn't it?
Leicester 38 wins, Leicester wins 38, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Lewandowski, look at that.
Yeah, Lewandowski, that was it.
Cool.
Yeah, so and then you get the odd midfielders. There don't seem to be a glut of these marquee signings. And I think it's because a lot of clubs, because of COVID, are still recovering in Europe. I think they've gone for youth. And it's when these youth players kick on and become superstars, then you might have some more marquee signings on the block. But
I mean, I think the Neymar $200 million or £200 million thing. I think that just sent the whole world into the whole football transfer market thing into a spin. And I don't know. I still don't think it's leveled out. What you used to be able to get after decent player. Look at me, I sound like I'm up. I try not to sound old, but you know what I mean? I'm like, you used to be able to get a good player for 30, 40 million. Now you're just getting a bench warmer. Oh, dear.
Well, we don't know. I mean, Ange says Romero's still 7 days, 10 days away. So the injury rows are 10, Vicario, Forster, Odebert, VDV, Romero, Udogie, Werner. Good.
Oh, I tell you what, Adrian, Alan, chat, could you imagine the meltdown when we've already heard that Romero's probably 7 to 10 days away and he starts warming up on the sidelines and then pulls up with a quad injury after 20 minutes? Absolute meltdown.
even VDV started training. I think you'll definitely see them in Liverpool away.
I think you will, but I think obviously they're going to be eased back a little more, obviously.
Like I say, we got Leicester, then we got Elfsberg, then we got Brentford at home, and then we got Liverpool away.
Yep.
So that there is no hurry, and to be honest, even if it became that critical for any reasons, and we've been in so many difficult situations this season,
right?
I mean, you could rest players. You could play Yang Min Hook against Elfsberg at home, give him his first run out. You could bring the kids in to rest players before that Brentford game, get them 2 league games in. Mikey Moore could start, Lancashire could start. I mean, we virtually qualified for I know you don't want the embarrassment of having to play in a 2-leg playoff, but you know, you beat Leicester. That's not a problem. right? But you can still try and freshen it up against Elfsborg, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bottom of that league, right? Well, I think he's got to, because it's the only game left where you can really rotate, because even the game's important, and they're a hard team to beat at any time, right? They're a hard team. So we got T. So I think we can be pretty sure that Kinksky will return in goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we got.
I hope so.
Yeah. So Porro gets arrested, doesn't he, guys? What do you think? Going to be regular on Spence? You got a left back at the right, yeah. And we get to see Spence on the right.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think that Spence has a knock, so I think you're going to see. Unfortunately, I think you're going to see Porro. Still, I think it's going to be Porro, Dragusin, Gray, and Davies. Same as it was. I think it's going to be.
If that's what we had in Hoffenheim.
I know.
Well, we'll know more after the press conference, because Ange can be pretty coy when it comes to injuries.
Yeah.
They miss people out. It's like the other time before Davies come back, he never mentioned him in his presses. And I said, no one asked him about Davies, and suddenly Davies pops up. Yeah, so you got Davies, Dragusin, and Gray. Gray needs a rest.
Yeah.
That's why I hope Spence is not. I hope it is regular and Spence, because then Davies can play with Dragusin and Gray can get a rest or be on the bench. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I heard or read somewhere this morning that it was a knock. So, I mean, maybe, they might be able to pull through. But at the moment, it's just one of those things where if you've got a knock, I mean, the last thing you need is for that knock to turn into anything more than a knock. So, yeah, we're talking, like you keep saying, mate, not the bone marrow, last legs.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Sarr had a knock, didn't travel. It didn't sound when I entered his presence that was that serious. So I expect him to be in contention for Leicester.
Yeah.
Basuma, I think that one's maybe. I didn't put him here because I don't think Basuma's going to be here, and not only that, I don't think he's going to get the nod anyway. Because Bergvall hasn't really been overplayed this season, and neither has Bentancur.
Mm-hmm.
So. And as much as Maddison would like to play against his old boys, it wouldn't surprise me if it was Sarr, Bergvall, Bentancur, because Bentancur did do a very good job at the back for us yesterday, like against Hoffenheim. And I still think Maddison might find himself on the bench to rest him, but I don't know.
I think it's awful. I think you'll find. I think you honestly, genuinely, I think you might find Bergvall, Bentancur, Maddison, and Kulusevski. Because I think you've got to play. If you play Maddison in the middle, you've got to play Kulusevski right wing because Johnson's not available. I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's just like I said, it's awful. It's like the worst. It's the worst career mode on FIFA that I've ever played. All of my players are tanked. I
left him there because you don't know what Ange will do. I mean, you could quite easily go Bergvall, Bentancur, and Kulusevski, but that you're doing is you're thinking about, well, because you need to take into consideration what the front three would be.
Right.
I would like. Well, Son, I think, definitely starts. Whether it's through the middle instead of Richarlison, who knows? Because then you'd have more on the left and Kulusevski on the right. But then it could be Son, Richarlison, Kulu.
I'd really like Moore to get a start. I'd really like it to be Moore, Richarlison, Kulu, and then Son come on after about 70 minutes.
Ange has made big calls before when he's giving people debuts, like Johnson with his debut away to Arsenal, and when he's thrown youngsters in.
Yeah.
Like Kinksky, like Frank Kinksky in the games he's played in, they were big calls.
Yeah, I mean, you could do if he was fit enough. I mean, you could. It's a bit of a risk, but you could do Richarlison Richarlison on the left, Lancashire through the middle, and Moore on the right. Because I've seen Moore play on the right for England, and he didn't do a bad job. So there's options, but it's still very, very slim
The thing with
pickings.
Lancashire, if you're going to play him, I'd play him against Elfsborg because he didn't do much when he came on against Hoffenheim. No one held the ball up and things like that. I don't think he's going to risk Lancashire. If you play him more, I don't think more's a risk.
Right.
A bit much with Lancashire. I mean, he may go more Son and Kulu, and like Richie might come on a sub again and get a full game against Elfsborg. See, the thing is, you get one or two players back, the permutations, they really go up, don't they? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, it's a good squad. It's just a knackered squad. You know what I mean? It's a good quality squad. It's not good enough to fight on four fronts.
No.
It's like it's a disjointed squad. But Alan, who'd you go in your front three?
Oh man, against Leicester, we're talking about.
Correct.
I'd probably go Lancashire up front with Kulusevski and Sonny if he's okay. I wouldn't put. In a perfect world, we would have enough in the tank where you could have Mikey Moore and Will Lancashire up front. But I just think right now that's a luxury we can't afford. We gotta, we need the experience that Son and Kulusevski can bring. Whether you put Moore in the middle or you put Lancashire, I think Lancashire's more of a, that's his position. I'd like to see him played there. For the front three. I think there are more important games to save Richie for. I just feel like that's a game where you can use the youth, whereas like Liverpool, I don't see the youth getting the nod comparatively, where I would see Richie up front. What about you guys?
Yeah, these are our fixtures coming up. So we got Leicester at home, 2:00 Sunday. I should be there. And then we got Elfsborg at home. Oh, it's Brentford away. Unless I've got that wrong.
Let me see.
Before Elfsborg, right?
Yeah. 26th. Yeah. Elfsborg's the 30th. Then I think I've got this right. Brentford. Is it Brentford away?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's Leicester at home, Elfsborg at home, Brentford away, Liverpool away.
And then you've got that Liverpool away is the Carabao Cup second leg semi-final.
Yeah. And then after that, you got the Villa away FA Cup.
Yeah.
I would love to not play Liverpool in like the next couple of games. I just feel like we've been playing them a lot.
Yeah,
well if you win this cup, we'll have done it the hard way.
Second leg, isn't it?
We'll have beaten Man United, Man City, Liverpool, and to get to the final and Coventry.
Yeah,
which was
then likely Newcastle or Arsenal.
Yeah.
God, what kind of pressure if it was Arsenal in the final with us?
Well, they're 2-0 down though, aren't they?
Yeah, I can see it being Newcastle, but we'll see. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Arsenal are capable of going there and winning 3-0 though. They are. I mean,
that's very true. Very true.
Totally capable.
Yeah. Just going through these banners.
God, if we don't beat Leicester, does that drop us down to 16th? No.
I think some of them teams down there are playing each other. Which is going to happen. I'm not even going there yet. I'm not going there until we see how we do Sunday.
Just taking it a day at a time, lads. Just a day at a time. Yeah.
Well, I think that about wraps it up. It's been an excellent show. Quite chill, actually. But we do get, for those you still viewing us, we do tackle the controversial stuff. Like if the club makes its next PR blunder, which is nearly always round the next corner, or we have a crap transfer. Well, we're not going to have a brilliant transfer, we know that. But if we don't bring in someone, and I don't mean anyone, right? You don't want to panic.
It's got to be so. It's got to be an impact player. That's the thing. Really got to be an impact player. They've got to make a very, very clever move.
Something that gets us over this period, right? So we can finish the season in a higher league position and win a trophy, you know. And you'd like to think this recruitment team are doing when they've got from the summer. We didn't do enough work in the summer, which is what's got us partly got us in this position. You do win and lose games when you've got a fully fit squad. Then the injuries come. Never known many, and now players are gassed as well. So there's lots of things that have compounded the situation that Ange finds himself in. And at the moment, that win at Hoffenheim is just give a little bit of a breathing space, isn't it? But apart from that.
That's right. Well, big up chat. Much appreciated. Yeah. Thank you for listening in.
I want to pump up Spurs analysts who came on earlier, Dan.
Yeah.
And
subscribed.
Alan's here.
Team Tottenham go.
In the ticker below as it comes through, right? Please subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, and leave a comment because it helps the channel. We're only about 30 odd away from 1K subscribers. We're only going about 6 months. And then our Facebook group is here. The link for the Facebook group's here. And that's we've got 14,000 members in the Facebook group. That's been going since 2019 though. And then there's a Twitter group there as well. If any of you are interested in those forms of social media. Once again, I want to thank my guests, Drew and Alan, regular friends of the show.
Appreciate you, mate.
All of you that have took the time to stick with us. Big up to you all. Big up to the others viewing us. There's still 20 of you that are hanging here for like over 2 hours. I didn't expect us to go this long, but it was interesting.
It was me waffling. I apologise.
No, it was good. It was good.
We'll go through the chat before we go. A bit of respect. All right. There's a footballing brain. That we got. Cheers, guys. Have a great. Thank you, Graham.
Thank you, Graham.
Thanks, Nick. Spud.
Nice one,
thank you, Liz. Thanks, panel. Be kind and have a smile when you feel happy. Okay.
Absolutely, Nia. Absolutely. Big up.
Was that the last of them? Yeah, it was. Right. So I'll play you out with our nice tune. I'll see you guys in the back room.